Chapter 263. Gu Xingyin quickly smiled and said, "Third brother, I was knocked unconscious and taken away. He was the one who saved me." Only then did Li Minglang's expression look a little better. He sincerely said to Ling Lang, "Thank you very much, my code name is Ice," he said coldly. Li Minglang was stunned. Code name Ice? He looked at Ling Lang with vigilance. "I didn't expect you to be the head of the Ice faction. I wonder why you have come to my imperial capital base." Gu Xingyin said at this time, "Third brother, I've been standing here for so long. Let's go in first and talk, okay?" After the two of them were tested and confirmed that they did not carry the virus, they were brought back to the Li family by Li Minglang. The Li family had already received the news that Gu Xingyin had returned safely. At this moment, there were many people gathered in the Li family's hall. After enduring a wave of concern from her family, Gu Xingyin began to talk about her experiences in the past few days. "My Li family will definitely not let those two adepts go." Old Man Li immediately issued a wanted order. And Lotzi could be considered to have entered the blacklist of the imperial capital base. Gu Xingyin didn't feel that this was too much. Even if had shown her a trace of kindness, she still advised him not to go to the places where the zombie tide passed. However, the sins he had committed before could not be offset. Before doing anything, one had to consider the consequences of this matter. "When I was in the car, I discovered that I had awakened a superpower." Gu Xingyin released this bombshell. What? The Li family was both surprised and happy. Their family's Xingshi was the treasure of the whole family, and the lack of superpowers had always worried the whole family. After all, in this apocalyptic world, it was really too difficult for an ordinary person. Gu Xingyin did not hide anything. She first said what she had said to Leng Han earlier, "Today is already the 4th day. If nothing unexpected happens, the zombie tide has already begun to appear." The Li family was still stunned by the shocking news she had brought. Gu Xingyin had brought an even greater shock. She raised her right hand, and specks of light flickered between her fingers. An incomparably holy aura filled the air. "Actually, I've awakened two arcanas. Other than prophecy, there's also light." This time, even Ling Han raised his eyebrows. It was actually a rare dual elemental ability. The prophecy ability aside, the light ability was also an extremely rare ability in the post-apocalyptic world. Ling Han had only seen one ability user with a light ability. That ability user's ability was very weak and could only be used as a light source. It was definitely not like the light on Gu Xingyin's hand, which made people feel peaceful and tranquil from the bottom of their hearts. No one could ignore the power contained in the fragmented light on her slender, soft, and fair fingertips that could even be called a work of art. Gu Xingyin's fingers moved slightly, and a glimmer of light fell from her fingertips. The floor of the imperial base, which was made of the strongest material and could resist the attacks of zombies, melted into a hole at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone looked at Li Xingshi's beautiful white hands in shock. Who would have thought that this pair of seemingly weak and harmless hands actually possessed such terrifying destructive power? Good. Old Man Li was the first to react. He laughed loudly, as expected of my Li family's descendant. Leng Han also recovered from his shock and thought to himself that he must report this news to his boss later. Chapter 264. After Gu Xingyin's superpower was detected, she was incorporated into the superpower team of the imperial capital base by the Li family. Even though she was the most favored daughter of the Li family, she still had to bear the responsibility of a superpower user. It was precisely because these superpower users had been fighting at the forefront that they brought safety to more ordinary people in the base. They enjoyed better treatment than ordinary people, and no one felt that it was unfair. Gu Xingyin joined the first group of superpower users in the imperial capital base. The superpower users in the imperial capital base were divided into 10 groups, with the upper limit of 100 people in each group. They were divided according to strength. The first group was where the most powerful superpower users in the entire Imperial capital base gathered. That night, Gu Xingyin sat there quietly, waiting for a result. The Li family told the other people in charge of the Imperial capital base. Although they didn't believe that there would really be a zombie tide, under the Li family's compulsion, they ordered their subordinates to avoid the area pointed out by Gu Xingyin. The satellite of the Imperial capital base also began to monitor that route. They didn't find any movement until midnight. Many people were relieved. Li Minglang even comforted Gu Xingyin. "Don't worry. Maybe your premonition is wrong. This is normal." Gu Xingyin stared at the surveillance screen. "Wait, look." Her words attracted everyone's attention. "Inform the researchers to open the map again." "Open it." Old Master Li was the first to notice that something was wrong. He ordered in a deep voice. The entire central area was completely displayed in front of everyone. Then, everyone's face turned ugly. Everyone could see that countless invisible red dots were gathering from all directions. Although the speed was very slow, it was only a matter of time before they gathered together. Everyone knew what those red dots meant: zombies. That night, none of the higher-ups of the Imperial capital base rested. No one knew how lethal thousands of zombies would be when they gathered together. What kind of force could resist their attack? The Imperial capital base held a recollection overnight. Gu Xingyin, the person who successfully predicted the zombie tide, was naturally treated as a distinguished guest. "I wonder if Miss Li can predict the purpose of the zombies this time." The speaker was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He wore a pair of silver-rimmed glasses and had an amiable temperament. He was the head of the Zhong family, Zhong Lingyu's father, Zhong Changchuan. Li Xingxi admired this person very much. Although the Zhong and Li families had always been at odds, Patriarch Zhong had always done things for the country and the people. It was just that Zhong Lingyu's mother died early, and her relationship with her father had been bad since she was a child. After awakening her abilities, she didn't stay in the Imperial capital base but chose to go to the far north. She shook her head. "I can only roughly sense that their target is not the Imperial capital base." Hearing Gu Xingyin's words, many people heaved a sigh of relief. Gu Xingyin was telling the truth. This wave of zombies did not target any human base. Instead, they gathered together and went to the glaciers in the southernmost part of the earth. Even though the weather there was extremely bad, and countless zombies could not withstand the extreme cold and fell there, the remaining zombies did not stop moving. It was as if something was summoning them. Inexplicably, Gu Xingyin had a bad feeling in her heart. Chapter 265. This time, the meeting didn't come to a conclusion. In the end, the base decided to hold a meeting with the other large bases. Gu Xingyin also started talking to the system. "System, how did the zombies in this world come to be?" Gu Xingyin frowned. This disaster came out of nowhere. It was as if the entire Earth had mutated overnight. The system flashed with white light. It wasn't shown in the original plot. The system can only detect abnormal energy fluctuations in the south. South? Gu Xingyin looked into the distance. Was that the destination of the zombie wave? Gu Xingyin officially reported to the 1st Regiment today. The 1st Regiment's headquarters was in the eastern region of the base. In terms of treatment and facilities, it was one of the best in the entire Imperial base. Gu Xingyin was attracted by many facilities along the way. There were a lot of fitness and power training equipment. Many ability users were training their powers or sparring with each other. In this world, the stronger one's strength was, the higher the chance of survival. No one dared to relax. She also attracted a lot of attention. It wasn't until Gu Xingyin walked into the innermost office that the ability users started to talk. "Who is this beauty? Is she a new ability user in our 1st Regiment?" You don't know her. The famous Miss Li of the Li family, Li Xingxi. I heard that she was tested to have awakened an ability. She was assigned to the 1st Regiment as soon as she awakened. It seems that her potential is not low. Someone sighed. There were a total of 9 levels in the apocalypse. After the 9th level was the legendary king level. Generally, when a paranormal first awakened, they were all level 1 paranormals. At first, everyone thought that paranormal started from level 1, and later on, high-level paranormals appeared one after another. Later, they found out that not all ability users were level 1 ability users when they first awakened. There were a small number of people whose abilities reached level 2, level 3, or even level 4 as soon as they awakened. At the same time, their abilities were stronger than the average ability user, and their speed of growth was faster than the average ability user. The only king-level ability user on Earth, Lei Ting, was said to be a powerful level 5 ability user when he first awakened. The 1st Regiment's threshold was also level 5. Could it be that Miss Li was also a level 5 talent when she first awakened? How is that possible? There's only one person on Earth with a superpower like Lei Ting. Not just anyone can compare to him, a man with an arrogant expression said disdainfully. His words weren't pleasant. Although some people frowned, no one refuted him. Taking a closer look, the surrounding people all looked at this man with fear in their eyes. This man's name was Mu Yi, a level 7 metal ability user. A 7th level ability user, even in the first group, was considered a very powerful expert, not to mention that the metal-type ability user was famous for its powerful attacks. Mu Yi's temper was famous in the base for being difficult to get along with, and he hated people with prominent backgrounds. It was said that when the zombie attack broke out, Mu Yi's parents, who were ordinary people, were killed by zombies because they didn't get help in time. Since then, he had a bad impression of those who enjoyed special privileges. There was another reason why he didn't like Li Xingxi. Mu Yi once confessed to Li Xingxi, but at that time, Li Xingxi, who had just learned that Zhao Ziki betrayed her without hesitation, rejected him with a very bad attitude. Chapter 266. Congratulations on becoming a member of our 1st Regiment, Miss Li. A burly man reached out his hand to Gu Xingyin with a smile. You're too kind, Commander Shen. Gu Xingyin was also smiling. Shen Zhong was the strongest man in the Imperial base, the leader of the 1st Regiment, and a 9th-level pinnacle fire ability user. He was the only one in the 1st Regiment who knew Gu Xingyin's true power level. Shen Zhong was naturally very happy to welcome this strong man. He personally brought Gu Xingyin to the place where the ability users were gathered and introduced Gu Xingyin to them. This is Miss Li Xingxi, a light ability user and a new member of our 1st Regiment. She's temporarily assigned to the 2nd Squad. Lin Xiao, I'll leave Xingxi to you. A young man in his 20s stepped forward and said, Yes, sir. Some people nearby joked, Lin Xiao, your 2nd Squad is so lucky to have such a beauty. That's right, that's right. They're not like our team. They're all men, Commander. What's the level of this Miss Li's power? The minimum requirement for joining our 1st Regiment seems to be a 5th level ability user, right? Mu Yi said with an unpleasant expression. Shen Zhong's face darkened. He knew Mu Yi's little problem. But for the sake of Mu Yi's strength, he tolerated it. However, Gu Xingyin's power level was currently a secret, so he couldn't casually reveal it. He was just thinking of an excuse when Gu Xingyin said with a smile, Why go through so much trouble? I heard that we're going out on a mission today, so I volunteered to sign up and let everyone have a look. When she said this, she won the good impression of many people. Obviously, the commander deliberately ignored her power level when introducing her. There must be a special meaning behind it. After all, the Imperial base's review of ability users was quite strict. In fact, according to the people in power in the base, Gu Xingyin had the power of prophecy, so it was best for her to stay in the base and receive everyone's protection instead of going out and putting herself in danger. This suggestion was firmly rejected by Gu Xingyin. What a joke! Her prophecy ability was nothing but nonsense. What she relied on was that she knew a little about the plot of this world. Gu Xingyin's true strength lay in the light magic she inherited from the previous world. Gu Xingyin could not afford to stay in the base every day and enjoy the leisure brought about by the bloody battles of others even though he had the strength to back him up. In the end, Gu Xingyin clenched her teeth and displayed the might of a high-ranked light magic in front of those people. Only then did the shocked crowd agree to let her go on a mission. However, even though they were very confident in her abilities, the people in the base also secretly informed Xinzhong that when Gu Xingyin went out to do missions, they must arrange for a few people to secretly protect her. If necessary, he would die for her. This was the order Xinzhong had received. He didn't know what Miss Li had that could make the boss of the base say something like that, but he still lowered his head and accepted the order. This time, their mission was to rescue their companions who were trapped in an abandoned military factory. The group of ability users also went out to take on the mission. They found an arsenal. As a result, after covering the rest of the team and moving the arsenal away, the remaining 8 people found that the only exit had been surrounded by a large number of zombies. Fortunately, although they couldn't get out and the zombies outside couldn't come in, the food in their backpacks couldn't last for a few days, so they sent a distress signal to the base. Chapter 267. In the end, the rescue team was made up of 15 people. Among them were Gu Xingyin and Mu Yi, who insisted on tagging along. When they arrived at the military factory, they found that things were far trickier than they had imagined. The factory had almost become a zombie nest. Gu Xingyin estimated that there were at least 200 zombies wandering around. According to those paranormals, they were in a secret room with only one exit. Although zombies couldn't get in, it also meant that even if they came out, they would have to face hundreds of zombies' attacks. A paranormal turned on the communicator in his ear. "Monkey, monkey, are you there? Answer me if you can hear me." He turned on the sharing mode, so Gu Xingyin heard his answer clearly. "I can hear you. We are in the second floor of the basement of the military factory. We have sent people out to explore these 2 days. The zombies are mainly active in the basement, the big exit, and the hall of the military factory. There are not many zombies in front of our door. The basement is the only way. If we want to go through it, we have to kill all the zombies in there. Every time we try to break out, we die here. There are too many zombies. We can't kill all of them. After we kill a batch, new ones will come. So, in fact, the main thing is to rely on speed. As long as we can kill all the zombies in an instant, it won't be difficult." Gu Xingyin said in a low voice. "Kill all the zombies in an instant?" Mu Yi sneered. "Miss Li, do you think zombies are made of foam? Do you think they will be destroyed by your light power?" He was obviously mocking Gu Xingyin's light power. Gu Xingyin frowned and didn't say anything. It was best to slap this kind of person in the face with facts. After parking the car in a secluded place, they got out and approached the military factory. There were scattered zombies wandering around outside. A fire paranormal lit a flame between his fingers and put a piece of meat of an unknown creature on it to roast. The wind paranormal successfully sent the smell into the armory. Soon, howls could be heard coming from the armory. One by one, zombies appeared at the gate. They seemed to be hesitating about where the smell was coming from. The fire-powered man grinned and said, "Watch how I sneak away from the zombies." He took a stick out of nowhere and hung the piece of meat on the roof of the car. Then, he stepped on the accelerator. The rumbling sound attracted the attention of the zombies, and the smell of food seemed to be coming from that place. Many zombies came out of the military factory one after another and started to chase after his car. "I'll take these zombies for a ride first. I'll leave the rest to you." The voice of the paranormal came from the communicator. Looking at the situation, more than half of the zombies in the military factory should have come out. The few of them stepped into the dilapidated gates of the military factory. The abandoned military factory was like a man-eating beast, coldly looking at the group of people walking towards it. Sure enough, there were fewer zombies in the hall. Only a few were wandering around, but no one was relaxed. Perhaps due to the influence of the previous fragrance, the zombies inside seemed to be a little restless, and creepy howls rose and fell one after another. These zombies are breaking the door. The paranormal who was trapped in the secret room suddenly panicked. Chapter 268. Gu Xingyin looked serious and said, "Let's make it quick." She took the lead and walked inside. Many people saw that the female paranormal's fingertips were shining. Those zombies seemed to be afraid of her power, and they hesitated, which was rare. That had never happened before. Everyone thought that zombies had no thoughts, so how could they be afraid? Gu Xingyin smiled secretly. Although they had no thoughts, their biological instincts were always there. In the magic world, those zombies belonged to the dark side. Naturally, they would be afraid of the purest power of light. Stay for 3 months to clean up the zombies in the hall. The rest of you, follow me. Gu Xingyin played the role of a leader without any self-awareness. Although the others were dissatisfied, they knew that it was not the time to care about that. They soon came to the big exit of the basement. Sure enough, there were many more zombies here than in the hall. Humph! Mu Yi wanted to show off. He spread his hands, and dozens of sharp blades with cold light attacked the zombies. Many zombies fell to the ground. He looked at Gu Xingyin and smiled provocatively. To everyone's surprise, Gu Xingyin didn't use her big move. Instead, she praised, "Well done. You're very good." Mu Yi looked like he had swallowed a few flies in an instant. At that time, a voice sounded in everyone's ears again, "These zombies seem to be crazy. They're hitting the door desperately. We can't hold it anymore." Gu Xingyin took the lead. She moved her feet continuously to avoid the attacking zombies. Unexpectedly, she planned to go directly to the passage. Mu Yi paused for a moment and then followed behind her. Several superpowered people also followed behind them. The rest were responsible for cleaning up the zombies at the big exit, so that they wouldn't be attacked from the front and the back. When they came to the entrance of the passage, the scene in front of them made their scalps tingle. The entrance of the 2-meter-wide passage was crowded with zombies. Gu Xingyin and the others couldn't even see the other side of the passage. Most of those zombies had incomplete limbs, and they stank all over, which really made people lose their appetite. Gu Xingyin only felt a murderous aura permeating the air. Although she did not possess the body of light, she still practiced light magic. Thus, she was naturally repulsed by these filthy things. Mu Yi looked at the zombie crowd in front of him and couldn't help but hesitate. There are so many of them. It's impossible for us to save them before the next batch of zombies comes. Gu Xingyin closed her eyes. A holy aura emanated from her body. Not only did the superpowered people feel strange, even the zombies in the corridor seemed to feel something and became more restless. Gu Xingyin stretched out her hands, and a 1-foot-long crescent-shaped white light blade gradually took shape in her hands. The astonishingly beautiful woman closed her eyes. Her jade-like fair hands held the light blade as if she was holding a new moon. She was so beautiful that she looked like an untainted god from the legends. If it weren't for the wrong time and place, the onlookers would have praised the beautiful scene. Gu Xingyin opened her eyes and gently spat out a few words that no one could understand. Blade of Judgment. Of course, the people in this world couldn't understand the magic spell she said. But at this moment, no one thought about what she said. They were all stunned by the scene in front of them. The light blade, which was originally only a foot long, grew rapidly after it left Gu Xingyin's hands, and gradually turned into a white light that soared into the sky. And the zombies that touched this light melted like spring snow, vanishing into thin air. It was horrible. Chapter 269. The entire passage was empty in an instant. It was dead silent. It was Gu Xingyin's words that broke the silence. The zombies outside have been cleared. Come out quickly. Mu Yi came back to his senses, feeling his throat dry. The others also looked at Gu Xingyin's hands in shock. It was hard to imagine that such a pair of hands could be so destructive. The heavy door was pushed open. A few figures ran over from the other side of the passage. They were the superpowered people who were trapped in the secret room. Looking at the empty passage, the superpowered people were confused. Didn't you say that you cleared the zombies? Why is this place so clean? It was so clean, as if the zombies had never been here. The superpowered people looked at each other, not knowing how to describe the scene they had just seen. In fact, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that it was a scene from a magic film. The roars of zombies were heard again. It seemed that more zombies were coming. Gu Xingyin made a prompt decision. Let's get out of here. They came to the exit. There were at least dozens of zombies around. The superpowered people joined the fight and soon cleared a path. Don't fight. Let's get out of here. Gu Xingyin didn't use magic again. Although she could still use such mid-level magic a few times, those superpowered people could handle it. When they went out, they were surprised to find that the fire-powered man, who had led the zombies for a walk, was waiting for them. In addition, there were a few strange cars outside. Gu Xingyin looked at one of the cars. Her intuition told her that the man inside was very strong. At the same time, a pair of penetrating eyes focused on her. The fire-powered man walked up and said, "When I was leading the zombies for a walk, I happened to meet people from Ice Frost Base. They killed those zombies by the way." Gu Xingyin frowned. There was only one person in Ice Frost Base who could make her feel threatened. She walked to the front of the car and knocked on the window, which had obviously been specially treated. Thunder. His tone was firm. The special glass slowly lowered, revealing the man's resolute and angular face. The eldest daughter of the Li family. Gu Xingyin bent down and leaned close to the window. They could hear each other's breathing. Thunder heard her laugh and said, "Nice to meet you." Then, she nodded at the people from Ice Frost and left in a carefree manner. She really did just say hello. A superpowered man from Ice Frost Base was left dumbfounded. This woman is really unique. He had seen many women sticking close to his boss, but this was the first time he had seen such a natural and unrestrained woman. Lei Ting frowned. He felt that Gu Xingyin gave him a different feeling. The first time he saw her, he felt an indescribable throbbing in his heart. Ever since he was young, he had been having a recurring dream. In the dream, there was an indistinct figure of a woman. He could only occasionally see a pair of gentle and quiet blue eyes and a head of dazzling golden hair. In the dream, a dignified and noble voice kept telling him, "Find her. Find her." He could feel his desire for that woman in the dream. It seemed that without that figure, his whole life was incomplete. Thunder didn't reject the dream. On the contrary, he believed that it was a hint from God, asking him to find the other half of his life. Chapter 270. But in the vast sea of people, it was very difficult to find a figure that existed in dreams. So there was a rumor in Ice Frost Base that Lei Ting liked beauties. In fact, Lei Ting had never touched any of the beauties that were sent to him. None of those people were her. He knew. But when he saw Gu Xingyin today, he felt different. He was like a traveler who had been thirsty for countless years and finally found the sweet spring of his life. Lei Ting looked at Gu Xingyin's back, his eyes full of determination. He didn't hide his aggressive eyes. How could Gu Xingyin not see it? She sneered in her heart. She had already confirmed that Lei Ting was her lover with a quick glance. Very good, he liked beauties. There were still many beauties sent to Ice Frost Base to please him. Gu Xingyin's eyes lit up. The most beautiful part of Li Xingyin was her watery peach blossom eyes. At this moment, Gu Xingyin was angry, but she didn't look fierce. Instead, the way she glared at him was a little cute. Mu Yi only felt his heart beat faster when he saw Gu Xingyin like this. He liked Li Xingyin. Otherwise, with his pride, he wouldn't have confessed. But after being rejected, he was ashamed and angry. He couldn't put down his pride, so he kept targeting Gu Xingyin. But Gu Xingyin had shown her absolute strength in front of them. Now, he didn't think there was anything wrong with her temper. Strong people were always different from ordinary people. Thinking of this, Mu Yi took out an unopened bottle of water from his backpack and handed it to Gu Xingyin. He said in his softest voice, "Thank you for your hard work." Gu Xingyin glanced at him in bewilderment. He did not know why this man had suddenly changed his mind. But her mind was full of Lei Ting, so she didn't care too much. She vaguely thanked him and accepted his kindness. Lei Ting looked coldly at Mu Yi, who was fawning over Gu Xingyin. He suddenly asked, "Who is that person?" The man beside him was confused by his question. He followed his gaze and said, "That man is Mu Yi from the capital base, a 7th-level gold power possessor. He's a famous master in the capital base." Lei Ting snorted softly, his voice full of disdain. The person who spoke earlier didn't know what Mu Yi had done to make his boss dislike him so much. However, he still silently lit a row of candles for this brother. "Brother, if you are remembered by our boss, your future will be quite exciting." People from the Ice Frost base happened to be invited to attend the meeting this time, so the two sides just set off at the same time. At first, the people in the Imperial base were quite happy. After all, the title of the #1 Thunderbolt superpower was not for nothing. With him, there was no need to worry about the threat of zombies. However, their faces soon darkened. Lei Ting, who was rumored to be fond of beauties, had actually taken a fancy to the most beautiful flower in their Imperial base. Lei Ting didn't try to hide his behavior at all. The few superpower possessors from the capital base who had witnessed the scene of Gu Xingyin showing her invincible power in the military factory had already put Gu Xingyin in a very high position in their hearts. In this way, no matter how strong Lei Ting was, he didn't deserve Gu Xingyin, who was like a goddess, in their eyes. Chapter 271. When Gu Xingyin went out the next day, anyone could see that she was in a bad mood. Gu Xingyin secretly despised herself. "Why couldn't I hold on and let that stinky man succeed? System, why didn't you stop me?" she complained. The honest system's answer hit her in the heart. The system detected the host's thoughts at the time, and you were willing to do it. Gu Xingyin. Shut up. She took the initiative to apply for a mission to eliminate the small drum zombie that day, and almost didn't give her other teammates a chance to make a move. The battle allowed her to vent the grievances in her heart, and it also allowed all the ability users in the team to see the valiance of a great beauty. No one dared to look down on her because of her appearance anymore. Lei Ting was strolling around the Imperial capital base with several ability users from Ice Frost base when they saw Gu Xingyin and the others coming back with murderous intent. Seeing Lei Ting and the others, Gu Xingyin, who was the leader, just glanced at them indifferently and left directly. The others originally wanted to say hello, but when they saw Gu Xingyin walk away, they had to follow. The ability users from Ice Frost base looked at them and exclaimed, "The ability users from the Imperial capital base are all so imposing." When Lei Ting heard this, he just smiled and stuck out his tongue to lick his lips. Last night was the most peaceful sleep he had ever had in his life. There was no disturbing voice calling in his ear, and his heart was no longer at a loss. The treasure he had been searching for many years finally returned to his arms. In the next few days, Gu Xingyin went out to do missions almost every day, while Lei Ting discussed various matters in the base. The two had almost no chance to meet. It wasn't until half a month later that the talks of more than a dozen bases finally came to a conclusion. Go to the source of the zombie gathering and find out the cause of the zombie tide. Gu Xingyin had to go this time. Because the system told her at the last minute that a new mission had appeared in this world. The original female lead's life was originally just to kill Zhong Lingyu as cannon fodder and take back her position as the female lead. But now, Zhong Lingyu was no longer important. Gu Xingyin was dumbfounded when she saw the new mission issued by the system. Save the world. Ever since she was born, the system had been by her side, and the idea in her mind had always been to become a qualified female lead. He had never thought that there would be a day when he would be given such a lofty task. The system was a little helpless as well. This is a temporary change in the laws of the world. In other words, Zhong Lingyu doesn't need to care about her anymore. As long as the host saves the world, she will definitely be loved by the law and admired by all people. There is no more suitable female lead than this. Gu Xingyin was not blinded by the cake. Then, the main point is, how do I save the world? The system said, you'll have to dig it out yourself. Gu Xingyin, bad review. The system pretended that it didn't hear anything. Don't worry, host. I will always be by your side and do my best to help you complete the mission. Since she wanted to save the world, it must have something to do with zombies. No matter what, Gu Xingyin had to go to the extreme south to investigate. Gu Xingyin's request to go with her didn't receive much resistance. This trip to the South Pole gathered almost all the peak powers of the entire human race. As Gu Xingyin, who had the prophecy ability, going with them could be said to be a guarantee. Chapter 272. This exploration was without a doubt the largest human activity in recent years. A total of 30 of the most powerful human ability users, as well as 5 top scientists in biotechnology in other fields, accompanied them. It was worth mentioning that Zhong Lingyu happened to be among them. She came as a reserve member. After all, space ability users were really convenient in storing supplies. Zhong Lingyu didn't know that Gu Xingyin was also there at first. It wasn't until she received the notice and boarded the plane that she saw Gu Xingyin sitting there calmly that her eyes widened in surprise. Why are you here? Her tone wasn't very good. Gu Xingyin glanced at her. Why are you here? Zhong Lingyu raised her head proudly. Naturally, I was invited to become a member of the Antarctic exploration team. Of course, she had a reason to be arrogant. Looking around, all of them were famous ability users. Being able to sit with them was undoubtedly an affirmation of her strength. Gu Xingyin shrugged her shoulders. Is there a second reason? Zhong Lingyu's expression changed. After all, she wasn't stupid. She looked at Gu Xingyin in disbelief. You've awakened an ability? Gu Xingyin had no time to pay attention to her now, because she was airsick. She didn't know if it was a coincidence or a deliberate arrangement, but the person sitting next to Gu Xingyin was Lei Ting. Of course, Gu Xingyin, who knew men's nature well, was more inclined to the latter. Lei Ting looked at Gu Xingyin's pale face and only felt distressed. He would never have believed that one day, he would feel distressed because of such a small thing as airsickness. However, looking at Gu Xingyin's frown because of her discomfort, and her originally full and rosy lips had lost their color, he only felt that his heart was twisted into a ball. He only wished that he could replace her. He had experienced this feeling in his lifetime. Gu Xingyin was dizzy at the moment. She never knew that there could be such an uncomfortable thing in this world. System, can you shield me for a while? She felt like she was about to faint. The system said, I'm sorry, this is a problem that came with the original Li Xingxi. It can't be cured. Gu Xingyin said, then let me pass out. At this moment, Lei Ting forcefully pulled Gu Xingyin into his arms. Gu Xingyin buried her face in the man's chest, and a light lotus fragrance wafted into her nose. She only felt that her dizziness had subsided a little. She was too lazy to struggle and indulged herself in the man's arms, her consciousness sinking into darkness. Lei Ting looked at the woman in his arms. She was like a soft kitten, nestled in his arms. This was not her style. According to Gu Xingyin's personality, shouldn't she have pushed him away? After waiting for a long time, the person in his arms did not move at all. Thunder loosened his grip slightly and saw Gu Xingyin's tightly shut eyes. He panicked and quickly checked. After finding that the other party was just asleep, he laughed. He hugged her even more tightly in his arms. From the side, Gu Xingyin's entire upper body was almost in Lei Ting's arms. It turned out that Li Xingxi and Lei Ting actually had this kind of relationship. Zhong Lingyu, who had been looking at Gu Xingyin, felt that she seemed to have discovered something. So what if she awakened her abilities? She didn't even mix with a man like Lei Ting, who was famous for being a playboy. Zhong Lingyu was secretly a little proud. After all, Zhao Ziki could be considered to be devoted to her. But Lei Ting was known to like beauties. She subconsciously ignored Lei Ting's actions. It was impossible for him to do it with a playful attitude. Chapter 273. Gu Xingyin was woken up by a man. When she opened her eyes, she found that she was almost in Lei Ting's arms, and the other people in the cabin had already gone down. She hurriedly broke away from the man's arms. Lei Ting was quite reluctant to part with her. The feeling of having a soft and warm body in his arms was indeed much better than the empty arms at the moment. As soon as they got off, Gu Xingyin felt as if a chill was going to come out from the bottom of her heart. Even though everyone had put on special protective suits, they still couldn't help but shiver in this world of ice and snow. This place was the final destination that countless scholars came up with after studying the moving target of the zombie tide. At the moment, no zombies could reach this place. In other words, the low temperature in the South Pole was not something that the zombies today could withstand. Gu Xingyin could imagine that in this fierce zombie tide, those zombies would fall under the natural barrier of nature without the need for human beings to do anything. The cold could freeze the zombies' limbs and brains. For zombies who relied entirely on their brains to survive, this was a fatal injury. However, it was only for now. Gu Xingyin had learned from the system that in less than a year, the zombies in this world would start to mutate. They would start to evolve like superpowered human beings. With the number of superpowered zombies, it was not hard to imagine that when that day came, it would be a disaster for human beings. Gu Xingyin couldn't tell this to others. If she told them now, it would only increase the panic and destroy the hope of human beings. It would be useless. As far as the eye could see, there was only a vast expanse of white ice and snow. It was easier said than done to find something that caused the zombies to react. Those scientists began to set up equipment, and each superpowered human was holding a detector to explore step by step. Gu Xingyin moved forward slowly. Suddenly, the system stopped her. "Host, I have sensed an unusual fluctuation." Gu Xingyin was shocked. She knew the origins of the system. It was definitely not something that the human technology of this world could compare to. To be honest, the system's detection ability was much more advanced than this device. At that moment, Gu Xingyin followed the directions given by the system and walked step by step with the device in hand. Soon, she could no longer see the other superpowered people. "It's right here," the system said. Gu Xingyin raised her head. This was the end of the road. In front of her was a snowy mountain whose peak could not be seen. "The thing that I sensed is inside here," the system said with certainty. Gu Xingyin glanced at the vast expanse of white mountains before her and decisively chose to summon the rest of the team. Hearing that she had found something wrong, the rest of the people quickly rushed over according to the direction she had provided. "Are you sure it's here?" a paranormal asked suspiciously. The detector in his hand didn't respond. Gu Xingyin nodded with certainty. "You should all know what one of my superpowers is." The superpowered people of the imperial capital base were the first to support Gu Xingyin. After all, they had all seen her power with their own eyes. Lei Ting glanced at Gu Xingyin, who looked so sure of herself, and followed suit. Since he had spoken, the people of the Ice Frost base naturally wouldn't refute him. Then, the result came out. Everyone started to dig a hole together. Chapter 274. Each person held a shovel and dug a hole manually. In this kind of heavy snow, no one dared to use their abilities. If it caused an avalanche, everyone would be finished. Fortunately, the ability users had good physical strength, and the shovels were also made of special materials. The ice here that had been condensed for thousands of years could be pried open. A day passed, and night fell. Everyone had already dug out a sizable hole, but there was no sign of movement. "Are you sure there's something in here?" Zhong Lingyu questioned. "If there's nothing, won't we all be wasting time here with you?" Gu Xingyin said lightly. "Then where do you think we should go?" Zhong Lingyu choked. How would she know where to go? Gu Xingyin said, "We came here this time just for a guess. No one is sure that we can find anything." Zhong Lingyu sneered and was about to satirize her when Gu Xingyin's next sentence opened his mouth. "But have you ever thought about what it means to the human race if we really find something?" Gu Xingyin looked at her with a piercing gaze. In the darkness, Gu Xingyin's eyes seemed to shine. Zhong Lingyu felt a little guilty under her gaze. She didn't expect that this woman, who had always been at odds with her since childhood, would have such courage. Zhong Lingyu thought in a trance and felt that Gu Xingyin didn't seem so annoying anymore. Seeing her like this, Gu Xingyin's eyes flashed with a smile. She had just tried the light magic, baptism. People who were affected by magic would unconsciously beautify the caster in their minds. It could be said that this magic was a great contributor to the development of the Vatican in the magical world. Zhong Lingyu, who had never been exposed to magic, naturally fell for it easily. At night, everyone went into the tents that had been set up and got into warm sleeping bags. The nights in Antarctica were colder than the days. Without these things, even ability users could freeze to death. Gu Xingyin got up very early the next day. They discussed for a while and decided that if they couldn't find any clues within 3 days, they would temporarily give up and search elsewhere. Gu Xingyin had no objections because the system told her that they were very close to their target. Sure enough, on the afternoon of the next day, a paranormal hit something strange with his shovel. "There's something." His words jolted everyone. The few of them were full of enthusiasm. They began to work even harder to dig it out. Soon, that thing revealed its true form. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw what was inside. "This is..." Even Lei Ting was shocked by this thing. What appeared in front of everyone was a coffin. Even though the coffin was extremely beautiful, and the body of the coffin was made of something similar to crystal, allowing one to clearly see the scene within. There was a person lying in the coffin. To be precise, it was a corpse. According to human aesthetics, this corpse was very beautiful. Even if he had 2 horns on his head and black, long and sharp fingernails, it was obvious that he was not human. But this didn't detract from his beauty. It was so perfect that it exhausted human imagination. Among the people that Gu Xingyin had seen, only the god of light could compare to him. However, the system beside Gu Xingyin frantically sounded an alarm. Detected zombie contamination in this world. Host, please deal with it as soon as possible. Chapter 275. A source of pollution. Gu Xingyin stared at the corpse that could be called a work of art. Upon closer inspection, not only Gu Xingyin, but everyone else also noticed that there were wisps of black air flowing under the corpse. At the bottom of the coffin, a crack could be seen. There were tiny wisps of black air seeping out from the crack. Could it be that the black air was the source of the zombies? The system said, analyzing data, analyzing data. Data analysis complete. The creature came from a dark planet 100,000,005 light-years away from Earth. It came to Earth because of the space-time black hole. There is a strong dark energy in its body. According to the system's analysis, humans have no resistance against this dark energy. Zombification is a sign of infection. Gu Xingyin was shocked. It came to Earth alone. How could it be lying in a coffin? The system said, there is only one answer. The creature that came from the black hole was originally placed in a coffin, and it fell to Earth by chance. The crack that caused the dark energy to leak out should be caused by the violent collision. According to the analysis, there are no cold weapons on Earth that can break through substandard materials. Firearms would not be able to create such a crack. What is this thing? One of the ability users could not help but put his hand on it to touch it. Don't touch it. Unfortunately, before Gu Xingyin could finish his sentence, the ability user's hand was already on it. The black gas seemed to have found an object to live in. A trace of black gas spread out through the crack and entered the paranormal's body through his fingers. Ah! The paranormal suddenly twitched and let out an inhuman roar. Everyone was shocked to see that the human, who had been normal just a moment ago, suddenly turned green. His skin started to fester and his eyes lost their luster. In just a short moment, he turned into a zombie. Roar! It roared and pounced on the nearest researcher. Lei Ting quickly pulled the person away. At the same time, a bolt of lightning struck the body of the newly created zombie. The zombie was hit hard and fell to the ground. However, Lei Ting frowned. The other zombies would have been killed by his attack. However, this zombie only fell down. After getting up, it was actually fine. Thinking of a certain possibility, his expression became serious. Just as he was about to launch another attack, a petite figure appeared in front of him. A bright light arrow whizzed towards the zombie's head, directly piercing through it. As the zombie slowly fell down, its body turned into ashes at the same time. This was the tyrannical nature of light magic. Towards dark creatures, there was never the slightest mercy. Facing Lei Ting's gaze, Gu Xingyin explained, light magic saves a lot of energy when dealing with zombies. The rest of the paranormal seemed to have woken up from a dream. At this time, they all distanced themselves from the evil coffin. Could it be that this is the source of the zombies? A researcher adjusted his glasses and guessed. The scene of the ability user turning into a zombie was seen by everyone. It was easy for people to associate it with cause and effect. At this time, Gu Xingyin, who had been further authorized by the system because of the discovery of the source of the contamination, said, "Let's guess. This strange creature, or the black air coming out of his body, is the source of the zombies. This coffin actually acts as a seal. And this crack that appeared for some unknown reason caused the source of the infection to leak out." As soon as she said that, everyone's eyes gathered on her. Chapter 276. Lei Ting frowned and said, "No one has ever come to this place. So, what caused the sudden outbreak of zombie infection?" His question was also what the others wanted to ask. Gu Xingyin pointed at the bottom of the coffin and said, "Look, the gap is at the bottom of the coffin. That is to say, the black gas is slowly seeping out and basically blending into the ice. In the past few years, due to the serious damage to the Earth's environment and the continuous increase of carbon dioxide, many glaciers have melted." She looked serious and continued, "Have you ever thought that the source of infection happened to be in the melted glaciers? Do you still remember the global rainfall that lasted for half a month before the apocalypse?" As soon as she said that, everyone remembered. Indeed, The appearance of zombies was during the global climate change, which was said to be once in 10,000 years. Even if this can be explained, why is there no sunlight on Earth? A scientist suddenly asked. Gu Xingyin shook her head and smiled bitterly. I'm just an ordinary paranormal. How can I understand everything? Isn't this supposed to be your strength? The scientist was embarrassed. He had only asked the question because he had heard Gu Xingyin's eloquence and was subconsciously convinced. Most of the people present felt that Gu Xingyin's analysis was very reasonable. After all, they had seen with their own eyes that the paranormal had turned into a zombie in an instant after coming into contact with the black gas. This black coffin was very likely the source of the zombies. What should we do now? Should we destroy it? One of the researchers asked hesitantly. Lei Ting said in a deep voice, no. Let's not talk about whether we have the ability to completely destroy it. Who knows what will happen to the corpses inside after the coffin is broken. If the source of infection spreads widely, it will be the real doomsday. But we can't just leave it here. The target of those zombies is obviously this coffin. Let's make a bold guess. The black gas is very likely to promote the evolution of these zombies. We can't let it fall into the hands of zombies. What if we bring it back? A paranormal said. Another person retorted, this thing can't be touched at all. Who's responsible for bringing it back? Besides, the zombies in the South Pole knew about it. If we bring it back to the base, the zombies will target our base. At that time, tens of thousands of zombies will attack the base. Who can stop them? The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener did. Gu Xingyin's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. She said, that's not a bad idea. I can try moving it. Before the others could say anything, Lei Ting's face darkened. No. How could he watch her take the risk? Gu Xingyin smiled. My light ability is immune to these things. Don't worry. Thunder frowned. You've never tried it before. How do you know it's immune? This is not a joke. Gu Xingyin thought to herself. Of course, I'll try it if I'm sure. Seeing that she obviously didn't take his words seriously, Lei Ting's face darkened. He pulled Gu Xingyin, who was about to step forward. His resolute face turned serious. If you want to try, let me do it. There are so many men here. How can we let a woman go? Chapter 277. Gu Xingyin looked at the man, whose face was obviously worried. I, Li Xingxi, never do anything that I'm not sure of. Your Lei Ting is strong enough, but your thunder power can't remove these sources of infection, can it? Don't worry, I will definitely come back in one piece. Gu Xingyin still had a slight smile on her face when she spoke, but the firmness in her eyes showed that she would not change her mind because of anyone. Lei Ting stared at the woman in front of him, and suddenly, he fiercely pulled her into his arms. Gu Xingyin was caught off guard and fell into his arms. As soon as she stood firm, a hot kiss came. Gu Xingyin took a while to react. This man actually kissed her in front of so many people. But feeling the hesitation and uneasiness in his kiss, she sighed secretly and took the initiative to put her arms around his shoulders. After the kiss, Thunder glared at her fiercely. You promised me that you'd come back in one piece. If you... He paused for a moment, then said firmly, anyway, no matter what happens to you, I'll always be there for you. Zhong Lingyu stared at the two of them blankly. Wasn't Li Xingxi afraid of being infected? The lesson was right in front of her. And Lei Ting, since he liked her, why would he watch her take risks? She lowered her eyelashes. In fact, it wasn't that she didn't know the answer, she just found it hard to believe. That woman, Li Xingxi, actually had such noble thoughts. She called out to Gu Xingyin. Hey, Li Xingxi. You have to come back in one piece. I stole your boyfriend, and I'm still waiting for you to come back for revenge. Gu Xingyin paused for a moment, feeling helpless in her heart. I'm really just going to do something that's not dangerous at all. Why do they all think that I'm sacrificing myself for righteousness? She just wanted to end the battle quickly and use facts to prove that she really wouldn't be in danger, so she quickened her pace and came to the coffin. However, in the eyes of others, her firm back inexplicably carried a hint of tragedy. It was quiet all around. Gu Xingyin stretched out her hand. To be on the safe side, she gathered rich light magic in her hand, and then gently probed towards the coffin. Everyone held their breaths, waiting for the result. The black gas that seeped out from the cracks at the bottom seemed to have found its target and rushed towards Gu Xingyin's finger. Lei Ting clenched his fists tightly, not even noticing that the veins on his arms were popping out. Gu Xingyin was not as nervous as them. The black gas was indeed the power of darkness. They coiled around Gu Xingyin's fingertips, but before they could enter her body, they were detected by the light force that hated darkness the most. Gu Xingyin could even hear the crackling sound of sparks when the dark energy was destroyed at her fingertips. Gu Xingyin only stood up when the wisp of black was completely destroyed. She turned around and smiled at the people behind her. Before she could say anything, she was pulled into Thunder's arms. Everyone else also had a relieved smile on their faces. After struggling out of the man's arms, Gu Xingyin said, "Now it can be confirmed that our light powers can indeed resist this strange power. Now, I can even set up a seal to prevent the black gas from continuing to leak." The others looked happy, but Gu Xingyin looked at Zhong Lingyu. "However, there's something I need your help with." Chapter 278. Zhong Lingyu didn't understand. Gu Xingyin said, "I can seal this thing, but I can't take it with me. As a space ability user, if you put this coffin in your space, the zombies shouldn't be able to detect it, right?" Zhong Lingyu's eyes widened. "Is this even possible?" Gu Xingyin saw her like this and thought she was worried, so she said, "Don't worry, I can guarantee that I can seal this gap. You don't have to worry about the source of infection inside leaking out and affecting you." Zhong Lingyu smiled. "Li Xingxi, you underestimate me too much. You are fearless enough to use yourself as an experiment. Am I, Zhong Lingyu, such a coward? Come on." Seeing that she agreed, Gu Xingyin didn't say much. She cast a sealing spell and added a thick layer of seal to the whole coffin. Then she looked at Zhong Lingyu. Zhong Lingyu nodded. With a thought, the whole coffin disappeared in an instant. Although the purpose of this trip to the South Pole had basically been achieved, no one showed a relaxed look on their faces. As long as this coffin existed, it would always be a ticking time bomb. On the return trip, Gu Xingyin fell asleep in Lei Ting's arms as usual. Unlike when they first arrived, this time, the two of them had more or less confirmed their relationship. Thunder pulled Gu Xingyin into his arms without hesitation. When Gu Xingyin woke up, she found herself lying in bed. The familiar environment told her that she was in her room at the Imperial Capital Base. The surroundings were very quiet, and it was obvious that she was the only one here. She didn't get up immediately. Instead, she called the system. "System, the mission you gave me was to save the world, so does that mean I have to solve the problem of sunlight?" Gu Xingyin asked. In this world, since the apocalypse, the sky had been covered with a thick layer of haze, and no trace of sunlight could penetrate. And without sunlight, plants couldn't grow normally. Now, all the major bases relied on extremely advanced technology to cultivate plants by simulating sunlight, but it was not a long-term solution. Without the sun shining on the earth, even without the threat of zombies, there was no way for the earth to survive. The system was silent for a long time before replying, "The host's answer is correct." Gu Xingyin asked curiously, "Since you knew about this, why didn't you tell me?" The white light on the host's body flickered for a long time before he finally answered reluctantly, "This matter isn't very urgent at the moment, so the system didn't inform me in advance. When Gu Xingyin heard this explanation, he was suspicious. Something was wrong. This answer was obviously not in line with the system's usual style. She felt that the system was hiding something from her. However, since the system did not say anything, Gu Xingyin would not know either. She decided to let it go and continued to discuss the gray haze in the sky. What kind of substance is that? Only when we know what it is can we find a solution, right? The system was uncharacteristically listless. Gu Xingyin was puzzled. In the past, as long as it was something related to completing a mission, the system would respond positively. It was rare to see the system slack off. Could it be that even an intelligent being like the system would have times when it didn't want to work? Then she would have to think of a solution herself. Gu Xingyin slowly pondered. She raised her eyes and looked out of the window. The gray sky was extremely oppressive. It was just like the land of doom in the previous world. Wait a minute. The land of doom. Gu Xingyin's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 279. She felt as if she had discovered something. Gu Xingyin asked the system, do you still remember the land of woe in the previous world of light magic? The system's body flashed, indicating that it remembered. Gu Xingyin continued, I suddenly remembered that the land of woe also didn't see any sunlight all year round, very similar to the situation here. She began to mutter, the land of woe became like that because the demons were banished by the god of light, their resentment was boundless, their dark power almost materialized, resulting in that situation, but this world. Gu Xingyin frowned, just a little bit of dark power leaked out from a corpse can achieve such an effect. System, tell me, what kind of existence was that corpse? After a long time, the system's reluctant voice slowly sounded, a dark planet, the entire planet is made of dark power. When this corpse was alive, it should have been a Lord of Darkness level character, carrying the power of faith of millions of citizens of the dark planet. In other words, it was indirectly admitting Gu Xingyin's conjecture. Gu Xingyin was overjoyed. Then, as long as I can purify the dark power of this world, I can successfully break through this barrier made of dark power. She slowly began to think. Among the light magic that she had mastered, there were some powerful purification spells. After thinking about it, there was only one spell that could achieve such a powerful purification ability, the Forbidden Light spell, the Great Purification spell. However, Gu Xingyin suddenly spoke, system, did you already know what the solution was? You deliberately hid it from me. The system didn't say anything. Gu Xingyin also became silent. In the previous world, she was Hathaway, the Saint of Light. She was born with the body of light, and she also had the scepter personally bestowed by the God of Light. Her strength had also reached the level of a warlock saint. A single great purification spell to purge the dark power of Ice Field City had exhausted half of her magic power. With her current realm and strength, it was impossible for her to complete the mission in one go. Unless, she sacrificed. Using his own body and blood as a guide, he sacrificed his faith and soul to cast the most powerful light-type forbidden spell in the legends, the Great Light Curse. The Great Light Incantation was the upgraded version of the Great Purification spell. It was also a secret technique of the Church. Other than the Pope and the Holy Maiden, no one else had the right to practice it. There was only one outcome for those who used the Great Light Curse, death. No wonder the system could not tell Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin was more open-minded than the system. To me, the death of a world is just the end of a journey. System, why are you more reluctant than I am? The system asked, are you willing to part with your lover? Gu Xingyin was silent for a moment, then forced a smile and said, what's there to be reluctant about? It's not like we'll never see each other again. Anyway, every world has to go through a parting, isn't it? As if sensing that the system was in low spirits, Gu Xingyin even tried to console it. She purposely asked, this great light incantation requires a soul sacrifice. I wouldn't really have to offer up my own soul, would I? As expected, the system's attention was immediately diverted. How is that possible? Host, no one has the right to take away your soul. Then that's it. Before that time comes, I'll have to enjoy it. Gu Xingyin said, pretending to be relaxed. She was not in the mood to continue lying on the bed, so she simply got up and went to look for a certain man. Chapter 280. As soon as she left the room, Gu Xingyin could faintly hear voices in the living room. There seemed to be people arguing. Gu Xingyin could tell that one of them was her third brother, Li Minglang, and the other was Lei Ting. She looked over and saw that her parents were all there. Lei Ting was sitting opposite them, talking about something. Gu Xingyin listened attentively and realized that the other party was actually talking about him. Lei Ting and Li Minglang's parents had a showdown. Uncle, Auntie, I know that I have a bad reputation in the past. I have my own reasons for this. I will not shirk away from it. I am not afraid of embarrassing myself today. I, Lei Ting, have lived for almost 30 years and have never touched another woman. Those women did not even get close to me. I also dare to swear that I will treat Xingxi like a treasure in the future. In the end, Li Minglang was stunned and said, "You, don't tell me there is a problem with you." Pfft. Gu Xingyin could not help but laugh out loud. This time, everyone in the living room looked over. Gu Xingyin did not hide. She walked out openly and sat beside Lei Ting without hesitation, holding his hand. "Dad, Mom. I like him. I am willing to spend the rest of my life with him." She did not say any unnecessary words. She just used the most straightforward prediction to express her position. Lei Ting was a little dizzy from this sudden happiness. Although he could tell that Gu Xingyin had feelings for him during the trip to the South Pole, he did not expect to hear a girl confess to him under such circumstances. Baby. He was so excited that he even shouted the name that he had always wanted to call her. Gu Xingyin looked at him with a smile. If it weren't for the mission of saving the world, she might have taught him a lesson. But now, she didn't know how long she could stay in this world, so there was no need for them to go their separate ways. In the end, Li Minglang's parents did not say anything. They still cared about their daughter's feelings the most. As long as their daughter liked him, they would not interfere too much. Only Li Minglang looked at Lei Ting with disdain. He was always able to pick out some thorns. Lei Ting did not argue with this brother-in-law, who asked him to snatch away his precious little sister. The people who went to the South Pole informed the base of their discoveries and gains. Zhong Lingyu had become a frequent visitor to the base. She was responsible for taking out the coffin in the space in real time for the base's researchers to study. She also had to ensure that the coffin didn't appear in the base for too long. She had to take it back before the zombies sensed it. Gu Xingyin still had a glimmer of hope. If the research could produce results, perhaps he wouldn't need to be the savior anymore. However, the news brought back by her father made her understand that with Earth's current technological strength, analyzing and solving the problem was tantamount to a fantasy. Today, she and Lei Ting did not go out on a mission, which was rare. Lei Ting held her hand, and the two of them strolled around the base where ordinary people gathered. Gu Xingyin looked at these people. Most of them were wearing shabby clothes, and all of them were sallow and emaciated. Even the children were just sitting quietly beside their parents. They did not have the vitality they had before the apocalypse. Perhaps Gu Xingyin's pity was too obvious, Lei Ting comforted her. Actually, they are already considered good. At least they are in the base. Their lives and basic necessities are protected. Those ordinary people struggling outside are the most pitiful. Chapter 281. Gu Xingyin was silent. She suddenly asked, if you were given a chance to return the world to what it was before the apocalypse, but the price was your own life, what would you choose? Lei Ting laughed. Why would you suddenly ask such a naive question? Gu Xingyin blinked. Then tell me. You have to answer seriously. Lei Ting thought for a moment and said, I think I would be willing. Gu Xingyin looked at the man seriously. Why? What does other people's lives have to do with you? Lei Ting reached out and rubbed her head. Baby, let's not talk about whether one life is more important than the lives of millions of people. But one day, I will hope. He glanced at the numb people and said word by word, I hope that my descendants, the people in the future, will not live the same life as today. They can't see the future, and they can't see the hope. I hope that children worry about what to do if they break their father's favorite collection, and not whether their mother can get the next meal. If I have a child, I don't want to hear her ask me what sunshine and flowers look like one day. If my life can be exchanged for the days before the apocalypse, I won't hesitate at all. Gu Xingyin's eyes suddenly turned red. She was almost crying as she said, then if you did that, did you ever think about me? If you are not here, what will I do? Big drops of tears rolled down her cheeks and landed on the back of Lei Ting's hand. The scorching temperature almost burned his heart. Lei Ting almost hurriedly helped her wipe her tears. He smiled and coaxed her. What's wrong with you? Why are you crying? That's just a hypothesis. Gu Xingyin interrupted him. What if it's true? Lei Ting went along with her. Okay. If it's true, I will tell my baby. My baby is so understanding. She will understand me. Gu Xingyin did not say anything. After a while, she wiped her tears and smiled at Lei Ting embarrassedly. I have been under too much pressure recently. Don't laugh at me, she said fiercely. Lei Ting had a doting look on his face. Whatever you say. He did not doubt it. On the one hand, Gu Xingyin's words were too outrageous. On the other hand, it was true that there had been a lot of pressure on all sides during this period of time. It was not difficult for them to lose control of their emotions. He didn't know that one day in the future, when he recalled today's conversation, how much heartache he would feel. The two of them stayed together for an entire day. In the end, Thunder sent her home. He had other matters to attend to. However, when Lei Ting returned home that night, he immediately felt that something was wrong, there was someone in the room. He was silent for a moment before he slowly opened his mouth. What brings you here so late at night? The lights in the room were switched on, and the scene in front of him made Thunder's blood boil. The person who appeared in his room was none other than Gu Xingyin. At this moment, she was wearing a dark purple tight-fitting nightgown. It wasn't a revealing style, but it perfectly displayed her exquisite figure. Her hair was a little messy. She sat sideways on the bed and looked at him affectionately. I'm here to recommend myself. I wonder if Boss Lei Ting is willing to accept me. Lei Ting's throat moved, and he said in a hoarse voice, I'm very satisfied. At this time, if he could still hold back, he would not be a man. Chapter 282. It was a night of lovemaking. Lei Ting was pleasantly surprised to find that Gu Xingyin had become particularly clingy during this period of time. She liked to stay with him no matter what. He didn't think too much about it. He just thought that his girl finally knew how to rely on her man. Gu Xingyin just wanted to cherish the last days she had with her lover in this world. She prayed that day wouldn't come soon. But delaying wasn't a long-term solution. Half a year later. The zombie tide that was originally gathering in the direction of the South Pole suddenly stopped. Those zombies seemed to have encountered something angry and began to become irritable. They no longer moved in the original direction but began to attack the major bases indiscriminately. The researcher in charge of long-term monitoring of the zombies at the base said in a panic. The researcher's words made everyone's faces turn heavy. Gu Xingyin knew that the zombies had noticed that the thing that had been attracting them had disappeared. But now, the base's research on the coffin had made no progress. Gu Xingyin knew that now was the time. The longer they delayed, the more damage the zombies would cause. On this day, she got up as usual, gave the man beside her a sweet kiss, and made him a delicious breakfast. Lei Ting didn't suspect anything. After breakfast, he went out with the ability users to start missions. Gu Xingyin went straight to find Zhong Lingyu. When Zhong Lingyu heard that she wanted the coffin, she was surprised. "What do you want this for?" "I've received orders not to give it to anyone." A golden light flashed in Gu Xingyin's eyes, and Zhong Lingyu's expression suddenly became confused. She followed Gu Xingyin outside in a daze. Of course, the Great Light Curse didn't need it, but Gu Xingyin wanted to solve the source of the infection together. Gu Xingyin and Zhong Lingyu left the base smoothly and found a quiet and deserted place. "Let the thing out." Zhong Lingyu did as she was told. Gu Xingyin looked at the corpse in the coffin and looked in the direction of the imperial capital base with some reluctance. Her eyes became firm. She slowly lowered her head, clasped her hands in front of her chest, and began to chant in a low voice. At the same time, Zhong Lingyu's eyes regained clarity. She was stunned for a few seconds before she saw the situation in front of her. Puzzled, she asked, "What are you doing?" Of course, Gu Xingyin could not answer her at this moment. Zhong Lingyu felt inexplicably uneasy. She tried to step forward, but found that a faint golden halo had appeared 10 meters around Gu Xingyin. She couldn't break through it all. Of course, she didn't know that when the Great Light Curse was cast, the area within a radius of 5 kilometers would be immune to all physical and magical attacks. Zhong Lingyu felt that something was wrong. She didn't dare to hide it, so she quickly used her communicator to inform the higher-ups of the base and Lei Ting, who was doing a mission outside. Then she looked at Gu Xingyin, who was bathed in golden light, and the doubt in her heart grew stronger and stronger. Lei Ting came quickly. When he arrived, the light on Gu Xingyin's body was already dazzling. He opened his eyes and looked at the pious, almost sacrificial expression on her face, and suddenly panicked. It seemed that a voice in his head was telling him, "Stop her. Otherwise, you will lose her." He rushed forward without thinking, but like Zhong Lingyu, he was blocked by the faint halo. Chapter 283. Lei Ting didn't even think about it. He used his thunder power, but when the violent thunder touched the halo, it was as if it was absorbed by an invisible black hole. It didn't even make a ripple. When the people from the base rushed over, they saw Lei Ting attacking the golden halo crazily. Inside the halo, there was only a figure shrouded in golden light. His face couldn't be seen at all. There was only one person with such a power. The long incantation was finally over. Gu Xingyin also awoke from the wonderful state just now. She opened her eyes. Those who looked at her suddenly found that her eyes had turned pure gold. If they were from the Vatican in the previous world, they would know that this was the characteristic of the God of Light. Lei Ting. Gu Xingyin looked at his lover and seemed to be smiling slightly. Her expression was emotionless, and under the contrast of the golden holy light that filled the sky, she looked like an otherworldly deity. But because of this, Lei Ting's heart became more and more panicked. Gu Xingyin's next words made his eyes widen. "I asked you, and you told me your answer. You want to see the light return to the earth, and so do I." Lei Ting suddenly remembered the words Gu Xingyin said to him before. If you were given a chance to return the world to the way it was before the end of the world, but the price was your own life, what would you choose? He seemed to have lost all his strength and fell to the ground. How did he answer her again? He said that he was willing, and that she would understand him. So, was this retribution? He suddenly covered his face and laughed in a low voice. Gu Xingyin finally said to Lei Ting, I want to see you live well, and see the world with sunshine and flowers again for me." She raised her head to look at the gray sky. Following her gaze, it was as if a pair of invisible hands had ruthlessly torn apart the dark curtain that covered the entire sky. A ray of golden sunlight broke through the layers of obstacles and fell to the ground. Everyone was stunned by this scene. No one had thought that there would actually be someone who could do this with his own strength. However, this was not the end. Rain suddenly began to fall from the sky. Every droplet of water was a tiny golden light spot. Wherever the light went, all living things would come to life. Green buds sprouted at a speed visible to the naked eye on the barren land, and flowers bloomed. The river became clear again. The air became fresh again. Under the scouring of the light spots, the wandering zombies let out miserable howls and finally turned into ashes in their unwillingness. It was unknown who started it, but the people around Gu Xingyin knelt down one by one. From the conversation between Lei Ting and her, it was not difficult for them to guess what kind of price Gu Xingyin would have to pay to achieve this. Gu Xingyin could feel the energy in her body draining away bit by bit. She knew that she would soon be leaving this world. There was one more thing that had not been done. She turned to look at the coffin beside her. She gathered the last of her strength in her palm and gently pressed it against the coffin. A sigh escaped from the corner of her mouth. "Since you have passed away for so many years, don't be reluctant to leave this world." The whole coffin melted in the golden light, leaving nothing behind. Lei Ting, who had been sitting on the ground in a daze, suddenly reacted. He shouted at Gu Xingyin crazily, "I regret it. I regret it." Chapter 284. However, no matter how he screamed, it was useless. The golden holy light that had been covering that person gradually dissipated, revealing a clear figure. But everyone clearly saw that her whole body, starting from her lower body and legs, gradually turned into golden light spots. With her body and soul as a sacrifice, she couldn't even leave behind a complete body. The golden halo that had been preventing everyone from approaching also disappeared. At the same time, Lei Ting ran towards Gu Xingyin like a madman. He reached out and carefully touched Gu Xingyin's outstretched hands. However, before he could grasp it, like a firework, his hand was left with nothing but emptiness. Those golden light spots circled around his body as if they were reluctant to part with him, and then they were reluctantly annihilated into nothingness. Everyone was cheering and rejoicing that they had been reborn. Only Lei Ting felt a deeper despair than the end of the world. "You asked me what choice I would make, but I made the choice for you myself," he said in a low voice, and hot water dripped from somewhere onto the back of his hand. "But, I already regret it." He closed his eyes, and no one could hear his voice. He thought to himself, "This will be a nightmare that will accompany me forever, a nightmare that can't be ended unless I die." Zhong Lingyu also stood there in a daze. She didn't expect that Li Xingxi would come to her so calmly and naturally to do such a thing. When she came, she even had a smile on her face, as if she was looking for an old friend to have a meal. "You won," she thought, "I can't surpass you in this life." This rain of light lasted for 3 days. There were no more zombies in the world. Humans could once again walk outside without any worries, and they didn't have to worry about a terrible thing coming out of nowhere to threaten their lives. Everyone had a smile on their faces after surviving a disaster, and they were full of energy to build a new life. Children began to play on the grass, and they finally began to regain the innocence they should have at this age. However, no one knew where Lei Ting, the former strongest person, went. The people of the Ice Frost base spent a whole month without finding a man. Finally, they chose to give up. They knew that if Thunder was determined to disappear, no one would be able to find him. The Li family became the most respected family, but no one felt happy because of this. If they had to sacrifice their family to obtain such glory, then they would rather not do so. A tall statue was erected in the center of the former imperial capital base. The statue was of a woman. Her eyelids were slightly lowered, and her expression was emotionless. Rather than a person, she looked more like a statue of a god. It was Gu Xingyin. This was a depiction of Gu Xingyin casting the Great Light spell based on the memories of the witnesses who had personally experienced that new birthday. In fact, many people who had seen that scene believed that Gu Xingyin was actually the messenger of God, who had single-handedly turned the tide when mankind was in despair. The high and mighty statue looked at the world that he had saved with his own hands. It was as if he was watching over the humans until the end of the world. The apocalyptic world ended here, but there was still one more thing. Actually, it's just a little abuse. I'm still my own mother, serious face. Chapter 285. Lei Ting had been to many places. He remembered Gu Xingyin's words, take a look at the world where sunshine and flowers have reappeared. Every time he went to a new place, he would close his eyes and stay alone for a while, pretending that the person was still there and was looking at the scenery in front of him with him. It took him 20 years to walk all over the land under his feet. Finally, he returned to the place where he first left. The man, who was no longer young, stood quietly under the most famous statue in the capital, looking at the face that would never change. I'm already old, but you're still so young and beautiful. He looked at her with a smile. I've already fulfilled what you said. I've seen every corner of the world. Every place has sunshine and flowers, he said softly, tears falling down his cheeks. When will you come to see me, baby? He raised his head, trying to find the shadow of the person in his memory on the statue. I'm very tired. He sat down and leaned against the base of the statue, starting to speak slowly. There's a place in the south with a sea of flowers that's especially beautiful. If you see it, you'll definitely like it. I've seen many beautiful girls, but none of them can compare to you. Recently, I've been dreaming of you more and more. Baby, do you miss me too? Many tourists saw this strange middle-aged man. He sat there alone, mumbling something under his breath. Some people thought that he might be a lunatic, afraid that he would do something bad, so they called the police. The police came quickly because it was related to this national treasure statue. No one recognized the former strongest man, so the police wanted to take Lei Ting away. Li Minglang happened to pass by. When he heard the commotion, he frowned and walked over. With just one glance, his pupils constricted. General. A few policemen saw the stars on his shoulder and quickly saluted. There's nothing else here. This person is my friend. Li Minglang sent everyone away and walked to the man's side. Lei Ting. There was a trace of disbelief in his voice. He never thought that he would be able to see the man who had disappeared for 20 years. Thunder slowly raised his head and saw a familiar face. It took him a while to realize who the person in front of him was. It's you, it really is you. After so many years, we all thought. Li Minglang suddenly stopped speaking. Do you think I'm dead? Thunder didn't care at all. Li Minglang was silent. Both sides fell silent. I've been to many places. This is a world that baby exchanged his life for. It's very good, Thunder suddenly said softly. I've fulfilled her final wish. Li Minglang suddenly felt that something was amiss. He reacted abruptly. Thunder. However, the man had already closed his eyes. He had fulfilled his promise to her, so he could look for her without any burden. Li Minglang looked at the man with a slight smile on his lips. Suddenly, his eyes reddened. In the end, he used the Li family's connections to bury the man's ashes in the ground under his sister's statue. Being with her and seeing the world together was probably this man's wish. I recommend the 9th Princess's quick crossover fancy counterattack plan for Prince Charming. Grab it with one hand and don't miss it when you pass by. Chapter 286. When Gu Xingyin returned to the pure white space, she felt a little sad. He must be very sad. Gu Xingyin remembered the moment when her consciousness dissipated. Lei Ting looked at her in despair. The system was at a loss. The host it had seen had always been calm and self-controlled. It had never seen this side of her. Fortunately, Gu Xingyin quickly adjusted her mood. Anyway, they would be able to meet soon, right? The system breathed a sigh of relief and quickly transmitted the information of the mission world. When she opened her eyes this time, the normal scene made Gu Xingyin feel relieved. The real-time information sent by the system had been sorted out by Gu Xingyin. Her original body was a rich young lady named Xinglu. She was currently 19 years old and was studying at the capital's first university. There was no doubt that Xinglu was born to be a winner in life. She was born in a good family. Her grandfather was an old cadre who fought alongside Taizu. The golden stars on his epaulets were dazzling. She was good-looking. The first university where Xinglu studied gathered the top talents in the country. There were countless men and women with outstanding looks and temperament. However, she relied on her face, which could stand firm in the entertainment industry without makeup, to suppress everyone and become the recognized campus belle. The key point was that she could obviously rely on her family background and face to make a living, but she chose to rely on her talent. Every year on the school's official forum, Xinglu was always at the top of the list of the top 10 results of each major school. If there was a flaw in her, it would be that this campus belle was too arrogant. A flower on a high mountain, too high to reach. This was undoubtedly the best interpretation of her. Of course, in the eyes of more people, this kind of girl who was better than others in everything was not a flaw at all. On the contrary, it added a legendary color to her. However, the original Xinglu, because of this character, suffered a big loss in the relationship, and finally lost the opportunity to be with the person she liked. And this time, the target female supporting character, Qi Shishir, was the woman who finally succeeded in snatching her sweetheart from the hands of the female lead Xinglu. In terms of looks, Qi Shishir was undoubtedly inferior to Xinglu. However, her personality was quite gentle and pleasant. Most of the time, men preferred this type of girl because this type of girl would make men want to protect her and give men a greater sense of accomplishment. The man that Xinglu and Qi Shishir fell in love with at the same time was called Yuan Chen. He was one of the top freshmen in the first university. Originally, it wasn't that he didn't have a good impression of Xinglu. After all, with Xinglu's appearance, there wasn't a man who wouldn't be moved. However, after, coincidentally, seeing Xinglu's arrogant and indifferent look, he slowly calmed down. At this time, the gentle and approachable Qi Shishir appeared in his field of vision and gradually attracted his attention. Finally, she occupied his entire heart. Xinglu finally mustered up the courage to confess, but she was rejected as expected, and the person involved became someone else's boyfriend a week later. In the end, after Qi Shishir and Yuan Chen graduated from university, they held a wedding and lived happily together. Xinglu, on the other hand, was hurt in her second year of university and sadly chose to go abroad as an exchange student. In the end, she never married. Gu Xingyin frowned. In other words, the original female lead lost her sweetheart because of the second female lead's intervention. All I need to do is to foil her scheme and change the ending of Xinglu's lonely life. Chapter 287. The system replied, "That's about it." Gu Xingyin was relieved. This kind of thing was not too difficult. She thought of something and suddenly asked, "There won't be any sudden change of mission in this world, right?" The system replied, "Host, please don't worry. There was an unexpected situation in the last world. Nothing similar will happen in the future." With the assurance, Gu Xingyin stood up and looked around. At this time, Xinglu was in a house she bought near the first university. As a flower on top of a mountain, Shenglu of course would not live in the same dormitory with a few people in school. After knowing that her daughter chose the first university, Mama Sheng did not hesitate to buy her daughter a luxurious apartment in the high-end district next to the school. With Shenglu's memory in her mind, Gu Xingyin remembered that she still had classes in the afternoon. It was already close to 1 o'clock. Feeling the emptiness in her stomach, Gu Xingyin decided to go out for a meal and then go to the school to take a look. It was time for classes. As for cooking, Shenglu was the standard type of young lady who did not do any household chores. Ever since Shenglu moved in, the kitchen in this apartment had never been used. Now that it was Gu Xingyin, she was happy to extend this habit. Although she mastered the skill of cooking, Gu Xingyin did not plan to put it into practice. She took her bag and went out. Recalling Shenglu's taste in her mind, it was either nourishing porridge or Western food. Gu Xingyin did not hesitate to break her persona. She wanted to eat hot pot. Gu Xingyin had stayed in the apocalypse for a long time in his previous world. During the apocalypse, there was a shortage of resources. Not to mention a luxurious banquet, even eating ordinary dishes in the normal era was considered a luxury. Gu Xingyin felt that he was really suffocating. It was not easy to come to such a stable world. How could she not properly reward herself? The system did not care about her. This kind of slight break in her persona would not have a big impact. The result of Gu Xingyin's indulgence and the system's indulgence was, Gu Xingyin sat alone at the dining table, crying. Gu Xingyin's eyes were brimming with tears. She didn't expect that Shenglu's body couldn't eat spicy food. Her mouth was burning. She even specially chose extra spicy when the waiter came to ask about it. Lu Zhongting looked at the girl opposite him in amusement. He had noticed Shenglu the moment she entered. As a student of the first university, how could he not recognize this famous first-year campus belle? It was just that he didn't expect that the school belle, who was rumored to be noble and elegant, would actually choose to eat at such a down-to-earth hot pot restaurant. Shouldn't a person like her have red wine and Western food? Then, he heard the other party choose extra spicy without batting an eyelid when the waiter asked about the flavor. Lu Zhongting was surprised. This hot pot restaurant was famous for its taste, and their spicy oil was also famous for its authentic taste. He thought that Gu Xingyin was a veteran, but he didn't expect her to cry from the spiciness after only 2 bites. That's right, she really cried from the spiciness. Lu Zhongting saw that Gu Xingyin's eyes had turned red due to the stimulation. Her delicate nose was wrinkled, and her lips, which were usually tightly pursed, seemed to be covered with a thick layer of rouge. It made people feel inexplicably delicious. Chapter 288. Gu Xingyin was wiping her tears with a tissue. She picked up the glass of water beside her and drank it. Then, she asked the waiter to bring a glass of ice water. However, she heard a deep male voice say, "It's not good for your stomach to drink ice water at this time." Then, a glass of water was handed over. Gu Xingyin glanced at the man and thanked him in a low voice. After drinking another glass of water, Gu Xingyin felt that the burning sensation was slightly better. She looked at the man who had returned to his seat. He was wearing a spotless white shirt and a silver watch. Gu Xingyin glanced at it subconsciously. The brand was Patek Philippe. Gu Xingyin had never seen a man who looked so good in a white shirt. His eyebrows and eyes were just right. The combination of his facial features was just like the elegant young master recorded in ancient books. He was really gentle and elegant. Looking at his age, he was only in his early 20s. He was probably a rich young master. However, this person was quite strange to wear a white shirt to eat hot pot. Gu Xingyin thought for a while and forgot about it. After eating, Gu Xingyin glanced at the time and walked slowly to the school. It was still early. She could walk around to digest the food. Lu Zhongting didn't know why he followed this girl. Perhaps he was attracted by her appearance, which was not similar to the rumors at all. He came to this hot pot restaurant because he had an appointment with a bad friend. That guy insisted on staying here. In the end, he just called and said that he couldn't come because of something and asked him to eat casually. Lu Zhongting hung up the phone with a sneer. Very good, you made me wait inside for almost an hour. In the end, you stood me up so easily. He paid the bill and went out. He saw Gu Xingyin walking in front. Since she had classes in the afternoon, Lu Zhongting followed her slowly. When Gu Xingyin passed by an underground passage, someone almost grabbed her skirt. She took 2 steps back and looked at the hand. His palms were rough and gray, and there was a thick layer of black dirt between his fingers. This was a beggar. Good-hearted person, please take pity on a homeless wanderer like me. Seeing Gu Xingyin looking at him, the beggar started to groan even harder. Gu Xingyin stared at him. This beggar was indeed a real beggar. However, it was not a coincidence that he had stopped her today, Gu Xingyin. Presumably, Yuan Chen was not far from here at this time. In the original plot, Sheng Lu's skirt was directly grabbed by the beggar. She was shocked and struggled to break free. Who would have thought that the beggar would take advantage of the situation to fall down and extort tens of thousands of yuan from her? Of course, it was impossible for Sheng Lu to suffer such a loss. She was furious at that time and refused coldly. She disdained to argue with such a villain and directly called her bodyguard to settle the matter. Although she didn't suffer a loss, in the eyes of outsiders, especially Yuan Chen, this kind of Sheng Lu was arrogant and domineering. To be honest, Gu Xingyin didn't feel that this girl had done anything wrong at all. However, this time, she wanted to use a different method. She looked down at the beggar condescendingly. You have all 4 limbs, no illness, no disaster. Why do you want to be a cripple who tramples on your dignity all day long? Clean yourself up a little more, go out and find a job to sell your strength, and rely on yourself to support yourself. Chapter 289. The beggar didn't expect him to say such a thing and was obviously stunned. However, he immediately thought of the reward that the man had promised him and spat on the ground. Stingy, and unsympathetic. Just admit it directly. Why are you trying to reason with me? I've finally seen it. This little girl looks beautiful, but she's just— His words were interrupted by a cold voice. But what? If you ask me, this junior's personality is really good. If I met a person like you who was able-bodied and wanted to do something bad on the street, I would have called the police. Lu Zhongting walked up from behind. Gu Xingyin looked at him in surprise. Junior? Was this person also from the first university? Seeing the clear confusion in Gu Xingyin's eyes, Lu Zhongting felt helpless. It seemed that this junior was really as arrogant as the rumors said. It wasn't that he was narcissistic. Lu Zhongting wasn't well known in the first university, but he was still considered a little famous. However, she didn't recognize him at all. The beggar only felt that although the young man was smiling, the way he looked at him was a little scary. He forced himself to say, "What do you mean by doing something bad? Don't talk nonsense." Lu Zhongting ignored him and directly took out his phone to dial a number. Hello, is this the police? I met a man who was able-bodied and wanted to pull down my junior's skirt. Yes, it's very likely that he has a psychological problem. Address, at. The beggar panicked when he saw that Lu Zhongting was really calling. In addition, he had a guilty conscience. After thinking for a while, he decided to leave. You're good. I won't lower myself to your level today. He quickly got up from the ground and left in a flash. Gu Xingyin looked at the man curiously. You really called? The man showed his phone and didn't even swipe the screen. Of course I lied to him. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Gu Xingyin then remembered. Are you also from the first university? Seeing that she really didn't have any impression of him, Lu Zhongting had to introduce himself. Lu Zhongting, long wind thousands of miles, thunder thousands of thunder. I'm a sophomore in the finance department of the first university. Gu Xingyin nodded. Hello, Senior Lu. I am, Xing Lu, a freshman in the foreign languages department, Lu Zhongting answered with a smile. Senior, you know me. Lu Zhongting blinked. Xing Lu, you're underestimating your own charm. There aren't many boys in the entire first university who don't know you. The two of them laughed at the same time, chatting as they walked towards the school. Not long after the two left, a boy in casual clothes appeared at the place where they had been. Thinking of Xing Lu's serious words about teaching the beggar a lesson, he couldn't help but smile. Then, he walked in the direction of the first university. Lu Zhongting was surprised to find that he was chatting so well with this junior whom he had only known for an hour. The two of them chatted as if they were old friends who had been together for many years. The breadth of Gu Xingyin's knowledge surprised Lu Zhongting. When they entered the school and Gu Xingyin said goodbye to him, he was actually a little reluctant. He was still thinking about whether he should find an excuse to get Xing Lu's contact information. Thinking about it carefully, it was the first time they had met. It seemed a little too frivolous. He could only shake his head and watch her leave. Chapter 290. After Lu Zhongting left, Gu Xingyin revealed a smile. She didn't expect to meet her lover on the first day of coming to this world. Gu Xingyin found that she could almost recognize him without the lotus fragrance on his body. Perhaps as the two of them stayed together in different worlds, the bond between their souls became deeper and deeper until both of them had a special feeling for each other. Gu Xingyin, who was in a very good mood, walked around the school. She had to say that the environment of the first university was really good. She checked the class schedule. There was only one elective in the afternoon. Western classical music. Gu Xingyin raised her eyebrows. It seemed that Xing Lu heard that Yuan Chen chose this course and specially took it as an elective. This silly girl. Gu Xingyin inexplicably felt sorry for the original owner, Xing Lu. She was obviously such an excellent girl, but she liked someone so carefully. With her qualifications, she could have confessed directly, but she didn't have that confidence in the face of love. In the end, someone else took advantage of her. As soon as Gu Xingyin entered the classroom, she saw a familiar person. Who else could it be but Qi Shishir, who was wearing a yellow dress and chatting with the students around her with a smile. Gu Xingyin knew that Qi Shishir was the same as Xing Lu. They both came for Yuan Chen. She withdrew her gaze. Unlike Qi Shishir, who was talking and laughing, her side was quiet and there was no one sitting around her. Gu Xingyin sighed. The name of the high mountain flower was really not for nothing. While she was deep in thought, Gu Xingyin felt the seat on her left move slightly. She looked up and saw an unexpected person. This handsome face with a bright smile was very familiar to Gu Xingyin. Wasn't it the person that the original owner liked, Yuan Chen? Hello, is this seat empty? Yuan Chen asked with a smile. Gu Xingyin shook her head. No, you can do as you please. Seeing Gu Xingyin turn her head again and didn't want to continue the conversation, Yuan Chen secretly thought that she was really as arrogant as the rumor said. If the mountain doesn't come to me, then I'll go to the mountain. Therefore, Yuan Chen took the initiative to get close to Gu Xingyin. In the eyes of outsiders, the two were chatting happily. Xing Lu, needless to say, was known by most people as the new campus belle. Yuan Chen was also famous for his popularity. Of course, the two attracted a lot of attention. There were even people secretly gossiping about whether the two were dating. Otherwise, how could the famous cold and arrogant Xing Lu put down her pride? Hearing these words, Cheese's expression. What's going on? Didn't I tell the beggar today to let Yuan see her domineering side? Why does it seem like it's not the case now? Cheese, cheese, chi, s, chi, sssss, chi sure smiled. I'm fine. I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm a little tired. Days class. After class, Yuan Chen said goodbye to Gu Xingyin with a smile and watched the beauty leave. When he packed his things and went out, he bumped into a girl holding a pile of books. Are you okay? He quickly asked. Qi Shishir quickly looked up at him. She immediately bent down to pick up the scattered books on the ground with a red face and prepared to leave. Yuan Chen looked at the girl running away like a frightened rabbit and called out to her, "Wait a minute." He handed over a book and smiled gently. You've missed out on something. Chapter 291. When Yuan Chen returned to the dormitory, his roommate made a fuss as soon as he saw him. Our winner in life is back. Yuan Chen smiled and said, What winner in life? What are you guys talking about? His roommate took out his phone and showed it to him. The campus bell and the department bell. The freshman became the public enemy of many seniors. There were a few photos below. There were photos of Yuan Chen and Xing Lu chatting, Qi Shishir looking at Yuan Chen shyly, and Yuan Chen handing Qi Shishir a book. Some bored student wrote a long article and posted it on the school forum. Many people left comments below, expressing their envy, jealousy, and hatred. Some even said that they wanted to be apprenticed to him. They did not know how this junior succeeded in meeting these two beautiful junior sisters. Yuan Chen smiled and handed the phone to his roommate. Nonsense. Let's not talk about other things. I just met these two people today. His roommate's face was full of admiration. You just met them and you're already so familiar with them. Especially our campus belle. She's recognized as an iceberg beauty. Tell me. How did you break the ice? Yuan Chen laughed. What do you mean by breaking the ice? She's just a little cold. She's not as scary as you say. In fact, he was telling the truth. Xing Lu was not as cold and arrogant as the rumors said. Most of the time, she did not know how to interact with others. The Xing family's parents were busy since young. Xing Lu was accompanied by the nanny for a long time when she was young. This caused her to mature early and be more independent than other children. When Xing Lu's parents found out that their beautiful daughter was not as soft and cute as other children and even became a small noodle stall, they could not change it. However, Xing Lu did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. She liked to be quiet and would not take the initiative to make friends with others. This was quite good, wasn't it? When Yuan Chen chatted with her, he found that although this girl did not talk much and rarely took the initiative to start a conversation, she knew a lot of things. Moreover, she would answer all the questions and would not make people feel awkward. This was not cold and arrogant, but a taciturn person. He unconsciously thought of the way she lowered her head and read seriously. Her quiet side profile was enough to be picturesque. His roommate saw that he was obviously yearning for love and poked him with his elbow with a smirk. Tell me, which one do you like? Yuan Chen came back to her senses and glared at him. What do you mean which one? I already said today is the first time we met, this is related to the girl's reputation, don't talk nonsense. Lu Zhongting also saw the news on the forum. Looking at the photo, Gu Xingyin was looking at Yuan Chen seriously, and the two of them were obviously chatting. He felt inexplicably unhappy. It seemed that he had to speed up. His junior was so outstanding that there would always be people who wanted to snatch her away from him. Gu Xingyin met Yuan Chen again during her second elective course. Yuan Chen was obviously a little surprised, but she was still very happy. The two of them naturally became deskmates again. Gu Xingyin facepalmed. It wasn't just two electives. In fact, Xing Lu had chosen the same course as Yuan Chen for all the electives. Even for the PE class, Xing Lu had chosen volleyball. When he found out that the two of them had chosen the same course for the third time, Yuan Chen no longer believed that it was a coincidence. He thought narcissistically, could it be that this school belle actually had a crush on me, so she secretly chose the same course as me? However, looking at Gu Xingyin's cold side profile, he dismissed this idea. He could not tell that she was interested in him at all. Yuan Chen did not know that sometimes, the most unlikely thing was the closest to the truth. Chapter 292. Gu Xingyin did not know that a certain man was jealous because of her, nor did she know that Yuan Chen was very conflicted. She looked at Qi Shishir, who came to find her, and raised her eyebrows. It seemed that Qi Shishir could not hold it in anymore. She liked Yuan Chen. Seeing that she was getting closer to Yuan Chen these few days, how could she not feel a sense of crisis in her heart? Speaking of which, both of them were freshmen in the foreign languages department and were famous beauties. Although Xing Lu and Qi Shishir did not have a natural sense of repulsion between beauties, their relationship was not very good. Especially with Xing Lu's personality, the two had never interacted before. "Why are you looking for me?" Gu Xingyin looked at Qi Shishir in confusion. Qi Shishir looked at her with some jealousy. Even though she had always been proud of her appearance, she had to admit that in terms of appearance, she really could not compare to Xing Lu. Xing Lu's beauty was bright and dazzling, just like an oil painting with a strong color. She was so high-profile that she stole the limelight from others. Thinking of what she was going to do next, Qi Shishir felt a little guilty, but when she thought of Yuan Chen, she hardened her heart. "I'm sorry, Xing Lu. Anyway, your family conditions are so good, and you're so beautiful. Even without Yuan Chen, you can find a better man." She smiled. "It's not a big deal. It's just our foreign languages department's literary performance. A beauty like you can't be absent." That's right, Qi Shishir was also a member of the foreign languages department's literary and artistic department. Gu Xingyin frowned. "I'm not interested." Whether it was Gu Xingyin or Xing Lu, they did not dare to be interested in this kind of activity. Qi Shishir had long expected that she would not agree. Hearing her straightforward rejection, she was happy, but she said, "Oh, Xing Lu, no matter what, you're still our campus belle. Everyone is looking forward to your participation." As she spoke, she came forward and held Gu Xingyin's arm as if they were close friends. Gu Xingyin was waiting for this. Of course, she remembered that in the original plot, Qi Shishir relied on this trick to make Yuan Chen completely give up on Xing Lu. Xing Lu did not like to interact with others, so very few people knew about this. It was not clear where Qi Shishir had heard this news and carefully planned this scene. How did the original Xing Lu do this? She pushed Qi Shishir away. Qi Shishir fell miserably and attracted the attention of many students. What they saw was Qi Shishir trying to get close to Xing Lu, but Xing Lu ungratefully pushed her away. Not only that, Xing Lu did not even have the slightest intention of apologizing. After pushing Qi Shishir to the ground, Xing Lu strode away. Xing Lu was criticized by almost everyone. In fact, no one knew that Xing Lu did not use much strength when she pushed Qi Shishir away. Only Qi Shishir herself knew how she fell. No one knew that the reason why Xing Lu left in such a hurry was actually because she felt uncomfortable. She didn't want to lose face in front of everyone. She forced herself to go to the bathroom before her whole body softened. How could a family like the Xing family not offend a few people? When Xing Lu was young, she was kidnapped. Those crazy people tortured a 5-year-old girl for 2 days. No one knew what happened to Xing Lu. They only knew that old Master Sheng, who had always been kind to others, was furious at that time. That year, there was a bloodbath in Suzhou City. Several families were cleansed and uprooted. There was no possibility of a comeback. Chapter 293. Gu Xingyin remembered the loss that the original owner had suffered this time. She looked at the smiling Qi Shishe. Didn't you want to fall? I'll let you have a taste of what it's like to fall. Gu Xingyin's expression suddenly changed. She did not expect that Qi Shishe would suddenly hold on to her. Her face immediately turned pale and she fiercely pushed the person beside her away. Qi Shishe was caught off guard and was pushed by a strong force. She fell to the hard floor. It really hurts. She sucked in a breath of cold air. She did not need to look to know that her elbow was bleeding. Why was Xinglu this woman so strong? The two were not chatting in a hidden place. There were many people in the classroom. When they saw Xinglu push Qi Shishe down, they all came out in surprise. Someone helped Qi Shishe up. Qi Shishe hissed in pain. It was obvious that the fall was not light. Xinglu. Qi Shishe's eyes were filled with tears because of the pain. This time, it was not an act. It was the real pain. She seemed to be wronged and puzzled. Even if you don't like me, you can just say it. Why did you push me? As soon as she said this, the surrounding people looked at Gu Xingyin with condemnation. Qi Shishe's good friend, Li Jiala, looked at Gu Xingyin's cold and indifferent expression. He could not help but get angry. Xinglu, you have to give an explanation. What's so great about being a big missy? Can the campus belle casually push people? You have to apologize to our Shishe. If Gu Xingyin had turned around and left without saying a word like in the original plot, everyone would have thought that he was being arrogant. She smiled bitterly and opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something. In the end, she closed her mouth. Then, her face suddenly turned pale. Her body trembled a few times and she fainted. Everyone was shocked by this inexplicable turn of events. Moreover, Xinglu's condition seemed to be more serious than Qi Shishe's. Everyone was a student in their 20s. When they saw Xinglu faint, they did not know what was going on and quickly called her. Get out of the way. A furious voice came from behind the crowd. Lu Zhongting hurried over from behind the crowd. When he saw Gu Xingyin lying on the ground with a pale face, he was shocked and hurt. Without saying a word, he carefully picked her up. Call a car. He said to the person next to him. Seeing Xinglu like this, it was better to go to the hospital directly. It was not until Lu Zhongting disappeared with the woman in his arms that the crowd slowly reacted. At this moment, all eyes were on Qi Shishe, one of the parties involved. Shishe, what did you and Xinglu talk about? Why did he have such a big reaction? A classmate asked. Qi Shishe was still throbbing in pain from the fall. She looked at him blankly. I was just asking her about the performance. Looking at the looks of disbelief on the faces of the people around her, Qi Shishe only felt bitterness in her mouth. It shouldn't be like this. I'm obviously the victim. It should be Xinglu who should be suspected and condemned by everyone. How did it become me? Even Qi Shishe's best friend, Li Jiala, whispered to her when he went back, Shishe, are you jealous of Xinglu, so you provoked her? Li Jiala knew that Qi Shishe liked Yuan Chen. Qi Shishe felt that she was really wronged. Her fainting really has nothing to do with me. Chapter 294. Lu Zhongting sat quietly in front of the bed and looked at the girl lying on the bed. Her rosy face was only pale at this time, and her usually bright red lips were pale. Lu Zhongting couldn't help but think of the girl he saw in the hot pot restaurant a few days ago. She was so lively and full of vitality. The doctor's examination results came out. There was nothing wrong with the patient's body. Gu Xingyin's situation was very likely that she had suffered a serious psychological trauma in the past. This time, she might have suffered some stimulation that made the patient have a bad association. The doctor left, and Lu Zhongting was alone to look after Gu Xingyin. If he felt that he was only interested in Gu Xingyin before, then the moment he saw Gu Xingyin lying on the ground, the pain and fear in his heart made Lu Zhangting understand that he was clearly moved. Not only was he moved by her, but he was deeply in love with her. It was very strange that he was deeply in love with a girl who he had known for such a short time and had only seen a few times. Anyone would find it unbelievable, but Lu Zhangting didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it at all. It was as if it was normal for him to be moved by Gu Xingyin. Lu Zhangting thought of his childhood friend, Liang Zimu, who liked some mysterious things. She always liked to mutter about past lives and present lives. Originally, he had never taken it to heart. Now that he thought about it, maybe he and this girl were fated in his previous life and continued in this life. Otherwise, he wouldn't be attracted to her at a glance. When Gu Xingyin woke up, the afterglow of the setting sun squeezed in through the slightly opened curtains and fell on the man in front of the hospital bed, adding a touch of gentleness to his handsome face. "You're awake." Lu Zhangting seemed to be very happy. He saw Gu Xingyin sit up by herself and got up to pour her a glass of warm water. "Is this the hospital?" Gu Xingyin didn't expect Xing Lu's body to have such a big reaction, but she was still very satisfied with the effect. "Well, you suddenly fainted earlier. I happened to pass by, so I sent you here." Lu Zhangting carefully looked at Gu Xingyin's expression. Sure enough, he clearly saw a trace of pain appear on Gu Xingyin's face, but she quickly regained her composure. "Thank you, Senior Lu," Gu Xingyin said. Lu Zhangting was considerate and did not ask further. Instead, he changed the topic. "I didn't see your phone on you, so I didn't contact your family." Gu Xingyin breathed a sigh of relief. "You don't have to tell them. Don't let them worry about such a small matter." Lu Zhangting didn't say anything. "Senior, I'm fine now. I don't need to stay here anymore." Gu Xingyin didn't like the hospital at all. The doctor had also said that this was her own psychological problem. There was indeed no need for her to stay in the hospital. Lu Zhangting nodded. After leaving the hospital, Gu Xingyin invited Lu Zhangting to a meal. "Senior, don't refuse me. Take it as a thank you gift for taking care of me for the whole day," Gu Xingyin said. Lu Zhangting originally didn't intend to refuse, but when Gu Xingyin chose the Michelin restaurant in the capital, he shook his head. "Let's go to the hot pot restaurant we went to last time," Lu Zhangting said. Gu Xingyin was surprised. "Senior also likes hot pot." Lu Zhangting smiled but didn't say anything. "It's just because that's where I first met you. Moreover, the way you were spicy was very cute." Chapter 295. Gu Xingyin and Lu Zhangting once again sat in the hot pot restaurant next to the school. This time, Gu Xingyin was very self-aware and ordered the medium spicy hot pot. Her mouth still seemed to be aching from the spiciness last time. She didn't dare to court death again. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but when Gu Xingyin chose the medium spicy hot pot, the man opposite her seemed to show a touch of disappointment. A thought flashed in her mind and she thought of a possibility. Lu Zhangting saw the girl opposite him looking at him indifferently and asked seriously, "Senior, do you like to eat spicy hot pot?" Lu Zhangting was a little confused by this question, but he still shook his head honestly. The two of them were very happy. They began to eat hot pot. "Wow! Boss, you're actually secretly dating a beauty here." A fussy voice came from behind the two of them. Then, a white figure quickly rushed to the seat opposite Gu Xingyin, next to Lu Zhangting's seat. Gu Xingyin looked up and saw a boy with a baby face. He looked to be only 15 or 16 years old. His eyes were very big, and he had some baby fat. He was very cute when he smiled. Gu Xingyin wanted to reach out and pinch his face. The boy was obviously stunned when he saw Gu Xingyin. Then, he blushed and looked at her with sparkling eyes. "Sister, you're so beautiful." Gu Xingyin almost choked. She hadn't heard such a straightforward compliment for a long time. Thank you. You're very cute too. She replied seriously. Ha ha ha. Lu Zhongting suddenly laughed out loud. Gu Xingyin looked at him with some confusion. In the end, she just happened to meet the baby-faced boy's accusatory eyes. Juniors nowadays are really not cute at all. He muttered and complained for a while, then smiled again. Let me introduce myself. My name is Liang Zimu, a sophomore in the finance department of the first university. Junior Xinglu, you're as beautiful as the rumors say. Liang Zimu looked serious. Sophomore. Gu Xingyin looked at Liang Zimu in amazement. If he said that he was a high school student, no one would doubt it. Liang Zimu looked at her expression and knew what she was thinking. She sighed and touched her face with remorse. Alas, I was born beautiful. I can't do anything if time doesn't let me down. Gu Xingyin was amused by him. She held back her laughter and said, Senior, don't be sad. I'm sure there will be many senior sisters who will be happy to discuss with you how to maintain their youth. Lu Zhongting suddenly said, You really know him well. This guy often hung around the female dormitory, seducing female students with his tender face, and even shamelessly calling them big sister. Now his sister at the first university can form a football team. Gu Xingyin looked at him with admiration. Senior is amazing. Junior admires you. Liang Zimu. She felt that this junior was not as pure as she looked. Thinking of this, he looked at Lu Zhongting with hatred. In terms of appearance, who could compare to this sesame seed in front of him? Thinking back, he was confused by Lu Zhongting's clean and bright appearance and happily ran over to be friends with him. In the end, he had been running errands for more than 10 years and had never turned over a new leaf. This guy had been pretending since he was a child. He was really bad. He only dared to say this in his heart because Liang Zimu knew that if Lu Zhongting heard his evaluation of him, this guy would definitely be thick-skinned and say, You're overpraising me. Chapter 296. Thus, the hot pot dinner between the two of them became a three-person dinner. When Yuan Chen and his roommates came in, they saw such a harmonious scene. Xinglu was sitting at the same table with two guys. She looked very relaxed and even had a slight smile on her face. Yuan Chen suddenly felt a wave of jealousy. Although Gu Xingyin would not ignore her, he would always be indifferent to her, unlike now where he was obviously very familiar with the two of them. If he knew that Gu Xingyin and the two of them had not known each other for a long time, and that one of them had just met, he would probably be even more jealous. When he recognized who one of the two men was, his jealousy swelled even more. Lu Zhongting. Everyone in the finance department knew him. Yuan Chen himself could be considered to be doing well in the department. However, he was only a little famous among the freshmen. Lu Zhongting's name was not only well known in the finance department, but also in the entire first university. Several of his published papers were on the front page of the top financial magazines in the country. It was said that when he was in his first year, many big companies were willing to sign contracts with him. In short, Lu Zhongting was a legendary figure in the first university. Yuan Chen could not compare to him. Lu Zhongting did not ignore the gaze that fell on him. He noticed the hostility in Yuan Chen's eyes and raised his eyebrows. This Yuan Chen was the one who was photographed chatting happily with Xinglu on the forum, right? But, looking at Xinglu's appearance, she didn't seem to care much about him. Lu Zhongting looked away. Since Xinglu had nothing to do with him, he did not need to waste his time on irrelevant people. On the other side, Yuan Chen's best friend, who was also the one who teased Yuan Chen in the dormitory, also saw Gu Xingyin's table. In fact, all the customers in the restaurant did not ignore their table. After all, the three of them were far more good-looking than the average. If it were not for the fact that they were unfamiliar and the three of them were generous, people would have thought that a few celebrities were here to eat hot pot. Yuan Chen's roommate knew that he had feelings for Gu Xingyin, so he poked him. "Hey, Yuan Chen, you have to hurry up." His roommate said softly, "Although you're outstanding, girls like Senior Lu are the most attracted to people like you." From the looks of it, it was obvious that they were just acquaintances and had yet to develop a deeper relationship. Otherwise, there would definitely be news from the school. "Don't blame me for not reminding you when the time comes. When it's time to strike, you must do it as soon as possible." Yuan Chen gulped down a mouthful of beer without saying a word. Gu Xingyin and the others had arrived earlier, so Yuan Chen and the others left after a short while. "Where do you live?" "I'll send you back," Lu Zhongting said. Gu Xingyin said, "No need, I'm close." Lu Zhongting frowned. "No, it's late at night. It's not safe for a girl like you." Liang Zimu looked at the two of them with a sour tone. I'm such a weak and cute little boy. It's not safe to go back at night. Why don't any of my best friends care about me?" Lu Zhongting ignored him and followed Gu Xingyin forward. "Goodbye, Senior Liang." Gu Xingyin politely said goodbye to him. Liang Zimu was stunned. She actually dumped him just like that. Chapter 297. Lu Zhongting, who had successfully gotten the address he wanted, returned to school in a good mood, completely forgetting about his weak and cute best friend. When Gu Xingyin arrived at school the next day, she received a lot of concern from her classmates. After all, when she was carried out yesterday, she did look a little scary. "Thank you, everyone. I'm much better now. I'm fine." She thanked them generously. Although there was still no expression on her face, it was obvious that she was sincerely grateful. Those classmates suddenly felt that Gu Xingyin was not as arrogant as she usually was. Perhaps she was just not good with words. Qi Shishir looked at Gu Xingyin, who had easily gained the favor of her classmates, and suddenly asked, "Xing Lu, what happened to you yesterday? Why did you suddenly push me away with so much strength?" Her words made the surroundings quiet down. Everyone remembered that Gu Xingyin had pushed Qi Shishir away and fainted yesterday. They were also curious about what had happened. Gu Xingyin's face turned slightly pale when she heard this. Just when everyone was worried that she would faint again, she tried to remain calm. "I was wrong yesterday. I'm sorry, Qi Shishir. I will compensate for your medical expenses." Although she said this, everyone could see that her condition was not right. Everyone was even more suspicious about this matter. Qi Shishir stood up and fell backwards. Xing Lu's words seemed to be taking all the blame on herself, but those who were present that day could see that Xing Lu's condition was obviously more serious. Her words only made people more curious about what had happened. Moreover, people would subconsciously sympathize with the weak and be biased towards Xing Lu. Qi Shishir gritted her teeth in her heart. "I thought she was really an arrogant and otherworldly lady, but I didn't expect her to be such a black-hearted person." After this incident, Gu Xingyin successfully made her image more approachable. Although she was not as popular as Qi Shishir, nothing would happen. There would not even be anyone who would stand up to speak up. In the afternoon, she still had a class with Yuan Chen. After class, Yuan Chen suddenly called out to Gu Xingyin from the corner of the corridor. "What's the matter?" Gu Xingyin asked. Yuan Chen thought of her roommate's words and felt that it made sense. For some things, it was better to strike first. "Xing Lu, I have something to say to you." Yuan Chen looked at Gu Xingyin's clear eyes and felt a little nervous. "Do you have a boyfriend?" he asked. Gu Xingyin shook her head. Yuan Chen was overjoyed. Just as he was about to continue, Gu Xingyin beat him to it. "I'm sorry, Yuan Chen, but I don't have any plans for that at the moment." Yuan Chen felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head. How could he be unable to discern that this was actually a disguised form of rejection? However, looking at Gu Xingyin's cold face, his heart was rekindled with hope. She didn't say that she didn't like him, but that she didn't want to think about these things now. Did this mean that his confession would be rejected, and so would others? If that was the case, he still had hope. Gu Xingyin did not know that Yuan Chen's heart was burning with fighting spirit again. She nodded and left. Then, when she turned the corner, she saw a man standing there. Lu Zhongting was holding a thermos in his hand. When he saw her, he smiled and said, "It seems that I came at the wrong time." Chapter 298. Gu Xingyin looked at the man's calm face and couldn't see anything unusual. If it were others, they would definitely think that he was as calm as he looked. However, Gu Xingyin, who knew men well, knew that Lu Zhongting was jealous at this moment. This man's possessiveness of her had always been terrifying. She seemed a little embarrassed. "No, it's nothing. I'm sorry for making a fool of myself in front of you." Lu Zhongting handed over the thermos in his hand. "I made the soup to nourish your body," he said. "It's normal for young people to be attracted to women. How is this a joke?" Gu Xingyin pretended to be shy. "How can I accept this?" Lu Zhongting frowned and looked unhappy. "I thought we were friends. Are you going to reject a small gift from a friend?" Xing Lu laughed secretly. It was hard for him to think of such a reason, but she had to accept it. She suddenly remembered Lu Zhongting's words and asked in surprise, "Senior, you made it yourself?" Lu Zhongting nodded naturally. The ingredients outside are not necessarily fresh. It's better to make it yourself. Lu Zhongting sent her all the way home again. When Gu Xingyin got home, she opened the soup Lu Zhongting made for her. The fragrance instantly filled the whole room. It tasted great. This was the feeling Gu Xingyin had after taking a sip. After thinking for a while, she took out her phone and sent a message to Lu Zhongting. "The soup is delicious. Thank you, senior." Lu Zhongting's reply came quickly. "It's good that you like it." Gu Xingyin seemed to be able to see the gentle smile of the man on the other side of the phone. She put down her phone and thought about the mission in this world. Yuan Chen had already confessed to her, so no matter what unwillingness or regret the original Xing Lu had, it was already considered complete. Qi Shishi's plan to ruin Xing Lu's reputation had not been realized. Next, as long as she lived a stable life according to Xing Lu's original trajectory, she would basically complete the mission. Gu Xingyin only felt that the road ahead was very smooth. However, plans could not keep up with changes. Some people, even if they liked to court death, were really helpless. Qi Shishi came to find her again. This time, she didn't dare to get close to Gu Xingyin. After all, the place where she fell last time was still bruised. "What's the matter?" Seeing that Qi Shishi's hatred towards her had reached 60%, Gu Xingyin wasn't particularly surprised. Anyway, after experiencing so many worlds, Gu Xingyin was already used to the inexplicable hatred that the supporting female characters had for him. She just doesn't like you. No matter what the female lead does to you, she will hate you even more. Qi Shishi seemed to be a little embarrassed. "It's still about the performance. Didn't you rejected last time? But I didn't know why the department SS after that, she, est, TS's. She Coopers. T-test T-be changed it be, SS, S, it, T, S, S, S it's it. That's why I came to inform you." She comforted Gu Xingyin. "Actually, Xing Lu, you don't have to be too nervous. It's just a formality. When the time comes, you can just perform something. If you really can't, you can sing a song." Since she had already said this, if Gu Xingyin didn't agree, it would seem that she wasn't magnanimous. Chapter 299. She looked at Qi Shishir. Gu Xingyin did not believe that Qi Shishir had not done anything. Gu Xingyin smiled faintly and said, "If I remember correctly, this list of names needs to be reviewed and approved by you, the Minister of the Ministry of Arts." Qi Shishir's face flashed with embarrassment. She forced a smile and said, "I was not feeling well a few days ago. Someone else is in charge of the arts department, so I'm not sure what's going on." After saying that, she didn't wait for Gu Xingyin to reject her again, and hurriedly said pitifully, "Please, Xinglu, you're so famous that it's impossible to find someone to replace you. For the sake of our foreign languages department, I'll have to trouble you this time." Qi Shishir's thoughts were actually very good. Xinglu had been in the first university for so long, but there were no rumors of her having any artistic talents. In her heart, students were all young and impetuous. If they had any talent, they would be eager to show it to show that they were multi-talented. For example, many freshmen knew that Qi Shishir, the belle of the foreign languages department, was not only good in her studies, but also good at classical dance. Many students in the arts department were ashamed of their inferiority. After Qi Shishir left with a satisfied face, Gu Xingyin laughed softly. It seemed that Qi Shishir wanted to make her, the campus belle, lose face in the performance. If Gu Xingyin really did as she said and just performed casually. The next day, the rumor that the belle of the foreign languages department could beat the campus belle would probably spread. What a pity. Gu Xingyin was in a good mood. "I'm afraid I can't let you get what you want." Qi Shishir was indeed very happy. She did not know if Xinglu did it intentionally or not, but she actually chose modern dance. When it came to dancing, Qi Shishir was still very proud. Compared to those real professional dancers, she was quite confident in her dancing skills. Since the campus belle also chose dance, then, senior, the list is out. She handed over a document. "Oh. Junior Xinglu is also dancing." The person who was addressed as senior hesitated for a moment. "It's not good to put both of your programs together, right?" After one dance, another dance follows. Qi Shishir smiled and said, "I'm dancing classical dance, while Xinglu is dancing modern dance. It's two completely different experiences." The senior thought about it and didn't say anything. He just nodded. Seeing this, Qi Shishir smiled even more happily. Not only are the two completely different experiences, but you can also compare the advantages and disadvantages, right? Gu Xingyin listened to the system's report and sighed. Really, everyone should live peacefully. After a few years, I'll go my own way and you'll go your own way. Isn't that good? The system was curious. "Host, what kind of dance are you planning to perform?" Gu Xingyin replied, "Didn't I report it? Waltz." The system said, "Oh, the host is looking for your lover again." Gu Xingyin smiled and praised it, "So smart." Gu Xingyin called Lu Zhongting. Lu Zhongting listened to the girl's voice on the phone. "Senior, can I trouble you with something?" "Go ahead." "I'm planning to dance a waltz at the cultural performance. Can I invite you to be my male partner?" The girl's voice sounded a little embarrassed. Lu Zhongting did indeed smile when he heard this. Although she did not have any romantic feelings for him, he was the first person she thought of when she encountered this kind of thing. This was a good start, wasn't it? Chapter 300. Since they were going to dance, the two of them would inevitably spend more time together. Lu Zhongting expressed his willingness to do so. It just so happens that Liang Zimu opened a dance studio by himself. "Let's go to his place." Lu Zhongting called Liang Zimu. Since his friend needed it, Liang Zimu immediately said, "If you like one of the VIP areas on the third floor, just use it." "Senior, you should have a foundation in dancing, right?" Gu Xingyin asked. Lu Zhongting nodded. For children from families like them, waltz was an essential part of social etiquette. Of course, they had to practice it since they were young. Then let's try it first. Gu Xingyin played a soothing song, got up, turned her head, and changed her footsteps. Today, Gu Xingyin was wearing a snow-white dress. When she moved, the hem of her dress fluttered with her movements. She looked like a butterfly that was happily wandering among the flowers. Lu Zhongting looked at the girl who was dancing on her own. Because of her movements, a faint blush appeared on her face, which lightened her somewhat cold expression and added a bit of charm and gentleness to it. The thin tip of her shoes gently touched the ground, drawing a round arc little by little. She entered his territory. Lu Zhongting suddenly retracted his gaze and greeted her. Their eyes met unexpectedly, and then they retreated. Their hands were intertwined, their bodies touched, and even their breaths were connected. Hardness and softness touched, elegance and passion burst forth. It was the first time the two of them danced together, but they were compatible as if they had practiced it countless times. Every dance step, every look, contained the feelings of each other. When the music stopped, the two of them hugged each other quietly for a while before letting go. Lu Zhongting pulled himself out of the soul-shaking feeling just now. He suddenly thought of something and looked at Gu Xingyin. You don't dislike my touch. With his ability, since he was interested in Gu Xingyin, of course, he would not let go of anything related to her. 3 days after Gu Xingyin inexplicably fainted last time, he found out the reason for her fainting. They had a psychological aversion, rejection, and even fear of contact with strangers. What exactly happened back then could not be found because of old Master Sheng's intervention, but Lu Zhongting could roughly guess. His heart ached for Gu Xingyin, but at the same time, he had a huge surprise. When the two of them danced together just now, Gu Xingyin did not show any discomfort or rejection of the task from the beginning to the end. Did this mean that she had already accepted him from the bottom of her heart? Gu Xingyin also remembered the illness of this body. In fact, Sheng Lu's illness was a psychological illness. As long as she could overcome it, it was not a big deal. Now that it was Gu Xingyin, this problem was naturally solved. At this moment, looking at the happy man, Gu Xingyin felt that there was no need for her to explain. To her, he was the most special person, wasn't he? I don't know either. I don't feel uncomfortable when I touch you, she said softly with her eyes lowered. Lu Zhongting was overjoyed. He recalled the dance steps just now and said, it seems that Junior and I are really fated. I have never danced so happily with other girls. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.